Jason Anderson is a multiple award-winning teacher, educator, author, and researcher with experience working in education systems around the world for the British Council, UNICEF, Trinity College London, and National Ministries of Education. He is currently based at the University of Warwick, where he researches and writes on a range of topics, including language teaching methodology, multilingual policy and practice, teacher expertise, and teacher reflection. In today's webinar, Jason will be talking about teacher expertise and continuing professional development. You will also hear from the stories of 8 teachers of English from India about what they did to keep learning from their work, challenging themselves and improving along the way. What's more, you will also get to interact with them in the breakout rooms. So please note that while you may have selected a breakout room in the registration form, we cannot guarantee that this breakout room will be assigned to you because we have to assign breakout rooms in real time. And we may not be able to match the name with the breakout room that you had originally selected. So let's agree to make this a safe space. Please do not share any personal information in the chat, such as your phone number or email address. Be polite and considerate of others. Keep your microphones on mute when the panelists are speaking. And your camera must be turned off throughout the webinar. Moderators may remove participants who disrupt the session. These are not the settings that we have been able to ascertain in this webinar. So if you do need closed captions, you will need to check the recording of this session. And if you have any questions, please email us. Please engage with the session. Ensure that you ask questions both in the breakout rooms as well as in the main session. And you will receive your certificate when you complete the feedback form. The certificate will, on completion of your feedback form, the certificate will arrive in your email as an attachment. So please do make sure that you input your email address correctly without any spelling errors, and download the certificate and save it. And the name and surname section of the certificate is editable. Please add your own name and surname and save the certificate. So when we registered, when in the registration form, these are the breakout rooms that we had asked you to select. The first one is breakout room 1 is doing and mentoring teacher action research. Breakout room 2 is participation in teacher associations. Breakout room 3 is working as a teacher trainer at the district and state level. And breakout room 4 is participating in overseas scholarships. So based on the registration, we had a total of 458 registrations for this webinar. Most of you selected breakout room 3, working as a teacher trainer at the district and state level. And some of you, of course, said any breakout room. But please note, like I said earlier, we cannot guarantee that you will indeed be put into these breakout rooms. It just depends on the email addresses you used and the number of participants we were allowed to assign based on Zoom policies. So if you have any questions, please post them in the chat, both about this as well as the webinar topic. And I will now hand over to Jason.
Thank you very much, Deepali. You're doing a great job there with those breakout rooms. It was my suggestion to use them, and it's created some complexities. But we all learn from these complexities, I think. Great. I've shared my screen. Hopefully you can see that, and hopefully you can hear me okay. If there's any problems with hearing me, do let me know. But we've done a sound check, so it should be fine. First of all, I'd like to begin by thanking the British Council for this opportunity to share about my research and about my and also to share this forum with the 8 teachers, the 8 expert teachers who are all involved in my project. I'll introduce them in a moment, but as you can see from this slide, I consider them co-presenters, and I'm very happy to be co-presenting with them. A couple of them haven't been able to join us, I believe, because of technical difficulties with joining. I'm sure our colleagues all over India will understand this. When you're in remote areas, it can be very difficult to join a webinar. Okay, great. So let's begin by having a quick look at the intended objectives of the webinar. And these are kind of a rough set of ideas that I perceive that many of you will take away from the webinar. But the nice thing about these opportunities is everybody takes away their own kind of understandings and learnings from it. So the first one will be to raise our awareness about teacher expertise. And that will include an introduction, what I mean by teacher expertise, but also why it's important and how it develops. We will then learn about some of the features and practices of expert Indian teachers of English. My research included, as well as looking at the international literature, included this group of 8 teachers who themselves have all demonstrated the criteria to be considered expert teachers. We'll also get some useful ideas for our own professional development, i.e. your professional development, that will help us to also become expert teachers. Teacher expertise is not an exclusive category, it's something that we can all achieve, just like any type of professional expertise. And by the way, if at any point something is not clear, feel free to put a question in the chat. I've got my eye on it on my other screen over here, so I may be able to see it if so. I know we've got quite a few people, but it hopefully will be possible to see any questions. Sometimes it's really important to answer a question at the point where it's needed. So let's begin with a little bit of background research into what is called teacher expertise research. It started in the USA approximately in the early 1980s, and 2 important early researchers were Geir Lenhardt and David Berliner. And I'll show you the references at the end if you're interested in reading more. Many of them are available free online, and if they're not free online, you can just drop me an email and I'll show you how to get it. And teacher expertise studies have a very simple research design, which suits me as a researcher because my understanding of research is also quite simple. The basic idea is you find expert teachers, then you visit them in their classrooms or possibly even involve them in experimental research, and you study aspects of their cognition, by which I mean their thinking processes and their knowledge and their beliefs as well. Their teaching, in other words, what they do in the classroom, but also when planning, their personalities, and we can call these kind of attributes of the personality, and their professionalism, by which I mean what they do as teachers to continue developing and improving, how they interact with colleagues, things like this. And teacher expertise studies have looked at all of these areas. Then you simply share the findings, and you can share them, for example, in reports, in academic papers, in books, and you can even share them in kind of national documents for specific curriculum purposes. And these can be used for teacher education, pre-service teacher education, and curriculum development in very simple ways. When you know what expert teachers do in the classroom, then in pre-service teacher education, this can be used as a basis for the curriculum, for what the pre-service teachers learn to do. And the important thing about teacher expertise research is because it is based on the practices of real teachers in their own classrooms, and we can switch now to Indian context, real Indian secondary teachers in real Indian secondary school classrooms. We know that the findings are feasible in the sense that this isn't some foreign imported methodology that simply isn't practical in the typical classrooms we find in India. We also know that it's culturally appropriate. So, for example, some things that work in one country because of the culture may not work in another. And they're sustainable because they're already being sustained by expert teachers in the country in question in their own classrooms. So there we go. That's the basic idea behind it. But I bet many of you have got one question in your head. Feel free to put it in the chat, but I'm going to show it to you anyway. The question which many people ask at this point is, but what do you mean by expert teachers? Surely this term is, you know, we all have our understandings of what quality of what good teaching is, but surely this term is debatable. It's controversial because being a good teacher, an effective teacher, an expert teacher depends on your opinion about what this idea of expertise is. So let me take you back a little bit to the research that's been conducted so far, as well as the research in America. There's research being conducted in China, over 20 expertise studies there, a large number in Western Europe, probably about 20 or 30 studies, and a few else as well in East Asia and in Australasia. And when you look at all of this literature, all of this research, Palmer et al.'s paper, you can see the reference at the bottom there is a good example. You find that expert teacher studies tend to use the same basic criteria for identifying expert teachers. There are two prerequisite criteria, in other words, what have to be there as a basis on which to base expertise. And these are largely agreed among the researchers, that the teacher needs to have sufficient basic qualification. So in India, if you want to work obviously in a government school or a government aided school, you would normally need to have a B.Ed, a Bachelor in Education. And many Indian teachers also have an MA, but the B.Ed would be the basic qualification. There would also need to be enough time, enough experience for expertise to develop. And whilst opinions vary, and some researchers say 7 years is necessary, the basic minimum is considered to be 5 years, during which time we can develop the skills and we can proceduralize many of the things that we do as teachers almost automatically so that the expertise itself can develop. And then beyond that, you look for something extra, something special. In a teacher expertise study, you're not looking for the best teachers in the world. You're looking at teachers for whom you can say these are exemplary teachers within a context. And I'll come back to my definition of that in a moment. So the indicators that have been used to date include the following. Things like if somebody is a teacher educator, for example, a teacher trainer or a mentor in teacher education projects, but only alongside doing a full-time teaching job. The assumption here is that if somebody stops teaching full-time, they may lose a lot of their expertise simply from it not being practiced enough. Another indicator is high student achievement, and this indicator is shared with what is sometimes called the teacher expertise research, the teacher effectiveness research, which looks at things like student exam scores to try to identify which teachers have the students who are performing best in the exams in order to see what they do. There are problems with that idea, and I don't have too much time to go into them today, but one key point is it's very, very difficult to isolate the influence of the teacher from all of the other factors that contribute to any individual student's exam performance. To give you a very simple one, if you look at students in a disadvantaged community whose parents did not have the opportunity to go to school, you find that because the parents themselves can't read or write, the children have more difficulty learning to read and write, and often other factors such as nutrition, they may be hungry, they may need to walk a long way to school, can all impact on a child's ability to learn alongside the teacher. So in order to consider high student achievement, you have to try as much as possible to compare that teacher's students' achievements to that of other students in similar contexts. Some other indicators that are used include receipt of teaching awards. We have those also in India, although sometimes teaching awards don't always look at the classroom practice of the teacher. There's other ones. Commitment to own professional development is a well-found one, that the idea here is that if they continue developing throughout their career, they should be accomplished teachers. And then the other one, which is probably the most important basic one, is recommendation by others, such as school inspectors or head teachers, providing that they know a lot about which teachers in a given community are proficient, are capable. They can also recommend teachers for studies. So there we go. That's the basic idea about how you find expert teachers. But there is a problem. And the problem is that all of this teacher expertise research is conducted in what we might call higher income countries. You know what I'm talking about, Western Europe, mainly, North America, Australasia, Japan, Korea, and to some extent kind of upper middle income countries like China. All of China's research, for example, are conducted in the higher income provinces of the east coast of China. And there's only one prior study conducted in India by Taraska, which was conducted in Pune, Maharashtra, if you're interested to read it. And this was quite a limited study in terms of what it looked at, unfortunately, with only 3 participant teachers. So as a result, we do not have a clear vision of Indian teacher expertise. And if you look at that picture there, that's intended to show the fact that we don't today have a culturally appropriate model for Indian trainee teachers to follow if they want to become competent expert teachers. And this is despite the fact that we all know, all of the teachers in this webinar will know, that there are plenty of expert Indian English teachers, and indeed teachers of any subject. Just because the conditions are challenging does not mean that the expertise does not develop. One of the things I've argued working all around the planet in low-income contexts is that teacher expertise is often at a higher level of ability when the conditions are challenging, because they have extra considerations that they need to consider. So in order to do this, I needed to develop a definition of expertise that is what I call context sensitive, by which I mean it's adaptable to different contexts. And the definition I've drawn upon here is obviously based on some of the readings in the literature on expertise research, but I've put some of them together to define it as an enacted amalgam, by which I mean a group of learned context-specific competencies. And I mean embodied knowledge, skills, awareness. Those are the competencies that an expert teacher has that is valued within an educational community as a source of appropriate practice for others to learn from. In other words, the expert teacher is the one who is valued within a community, often local, but sometimes it can be a national or a state level community, as a source of appropriate practice for others to learn from. And by practice here, I simply mean teaching, planning, interacting with colleagues. And using that basis, I was able to identify 8 participant teachers through the INET Teacher Association of India, who I'd like to also thank for this study, alongside the EFL University of Hyderabad, who are also the supporting institution in India and helped me greatly with my research. So with the INET community, we were able to find these 8 teachers, and rather than me either selecting them or contacting school inspectors, who sometimes can be, but sometimes can't be very reliable in their choices, these teachers nominated to participate in the study. And after their nomination, they underwent 2 interviews in which we looked at all of the features of their expertise. And I was able to identify that each of these teachers met at least 5 indicators of expertise. All 8, for example, work as teacher educators in some capacity. We have award winners, scholarship winners, several of whom were able to demonstrate very high student performance, even 100% in some contexts for the last 3 years, and so on and so forth. So we have really good reasons to say that these are expert teachers because they met more than one of these individual criteria, which on their own may not necessarily be 100% reliable, but when you put them together, I would argue provide us with a good basis for saying this is an expert teacher. Now, the study itself was also participatory, by which I mean I didn't decide on everything. The 8 teachers also contributed to making decisions about the study. For example, the research questions were negotiated, and what the study produced were also discussed and negotiated. And the 8 teachers themselves decided, as part of the project, to write a book together, so that not only would my description of their stories and their practice be the only one available, but that they would have a voice in this study and would share their own descriptions of the challenges, the context and the solutions in their classrooms. And hence the title of the book, which you can probably see there, Connecting 8 Effective ELT Classrooms. You can find it online for free. You can also buy it on Amazon if you want a printed copy. And it's on the INET website. And I'll share a QR link to that a bit later. But before I go any further, let me just introduce them all. We have Deepika Gode, who works in Nagpur in Maharashtra. By the way, all of them decided not to be anonymous in the study, which is another benefit of it, that even after looking at and reading all of my findings in the research, they wanted to be identified. And I would say they should be celebrated as expert teachers. So there we go. Deepika Gode in Maharashtra, Gajanan Tayade, who is also in Maharashtra, in Buldana district, Kuheli Mukherjee in Kolkata, in West Bengal, Manjusha Sagrolikar, who is in Hingoli in Maharashtra, Nurjahan Naik, who works in Malvan, Maharashtra, Raju Lingala, who works in Telangana in a small village north of Hyderabad. Shekhar Komne, who works in Kamgaon in Maharashtra. Well, he's based there. His school is in a little village called Pimpalgaon Raja, I think it's called. And Vinayata Raju Pratikantam, who I hope has managed to join us, but he is also in Telangana in a town called Karimnagar. And you can see there's a slight bias towards Maharashtra because that's where the Teacher Association involved, INET, originally, as I understand it, began, and hence there's a slight bias there, but we have a nice variety of contexts. The teachers included both rural, urban, and semi-urban contexts. So let's have a look a little bit about some of the features of the, actually no, before we do that, let me just have a quick look at the publication which they produced. I just want to show you some extracts from it so you can get a feel for the kind of things they were talking about. Here is Raju's chapter, that is Nurjahan's, by the way. And you can see they're talking about their context and challenges, but they're also talking about, and here is the final page from Manjusha's chapter, my advice for colleagues with similar challenges. Vinayata Raju's chapter, you can see him working with the students outside there. That was a day on which the temperature was as hot as it is at the moment in many parts of India, about 45. So he took them outside to sit under the trees in a very cramped urban context, it's true to say. Deepika Gode worked with classes of up to 70 or 80 children. And you can see here that the page on the right of my screen, at least, is where she looks at all of the factors that influence her teaching practices. Really interesting. Gajan Antayedi working with some very disadvantaged students in Motala, a small village near to Buldana, and talking there on the right page about how learners often have a fear of English, which many other teachers will know. And Shekhar Komne, working in Pimpalgaon Raja, also with very large classes, sometimes found it easier, for example, to take the desks out of the classroom so that students could sit down to do group work. And here is Koheli's final chapter, last but definitely not least, bringing the best out of our learners. So that gives you a flavor for the book. I'm sure you weren't able to read it as I showed it there, but you can get a feel for what's inside it. So let's have a look at some of the findings of my research. What did it tell us about Indian teacher expertise? We'll just have a general look at this slide. Any of the findings, any of the points I've mentioned here that are in italics were factors that I found that were specific to Indian teacher expertise, but not necessarily so prominent in the international literature on teacher expertise. Whereas all of the others are commonalities with international research on teacher expertise, telling us something really important, that Indian teacher expertise is at base and in the main very similar to expertise in other countries. But the differences are very important as well, because they tell us areas where international literature on best practice may not apply in Indian contexts for very good reasons that many of us know and understand. So to talk about their cognition, their thinking processes, we know that all expert teachers have a well-developed integrated knowledge base, which includes something called pedagogical content knowledge, PCK it's sometimes called. This is a really important idea that talks about a linked cognitive ability to bring together the needs of the learners, the curriculum, and the activities that they can do in the classroom in order to facilitate learning as well as possible. When we look at beliefs, also part of cognition, but I've separated them out. And this was very interesting. Whilst there were several beliefs that are shared with the majority of expertise research, such as the importance of engaging learners, a belief in constructivism as a methodological approach, and beliefs in balancing learner needs with exam preparation, that is international, not just in India. We need to balance between those two. Indian expert teachers seem to have a very clear understanding of the need to build learner self-confidence, particularly with a subject like English. As one of Deepika's students mentioned, that they sometimes see this as the killer subject, the one that they find most challenging. They also focused on on ensuring learners understand lesson content. And this, whilst there was focus on higher order skills, there was a very strong focus on understanding, not memorizing. Those two things are contrasting lower order skills. Memorizing being another way of talking about remembering. And understanding is when you bring different elements of knowledge together into a schema or a structure of knowledge. And importantly, all 8 teachers had a belief in teaching multilingually, although there were differences in terms of how much they used of different languages, which I'll come on to. In the what I call the interpersonal domain, how we interrelate to and work with students, all expert teacher research finds the following: that expert teachers have positive relationships of trust and respect with their learners. They create inclusive, supportive learning environments, and they have high learner engagement, which itself leads to low levels of misbehavior, as we sometimes call it. If a learner is engaged, as we all know, they tend not to get distracted by other things. But there was one extra finding here. You noticed I missed out an adjective there. There was a strong focus among several of the participant teachers in my research that the environments need to be safe. And whilst we all know that in Indian law, it is outlawed to engage in any kind of corporal punishment of the child, unfortunately, in many Indian schools, this is still quite common. And these teachers in my research were very keen to make sure that the students had no fear either of English or the learning environment. Now, when it came to the teaching, there were several really interesting factors. These teachers did engage in what we sometimes call collaborative learning, group work and pair work, but they balanced it with what I would call teacher-led activities, things like whole class interactive teaching, for example, or checking the questions, the answers for homework questions. These teachers did so interactively through lots of questioning, lots of student answers, and even students asking questions as well. There was regular collaborative learning, but this was also balanced with individual seat work. As several of the participants in my study mentioned, students don't just need the opportunity to work together, they also need the opportunity to decide if they have understood the content of the lesson individually, and the teacher needs that chance as well. So there was a balance between these elements: whole class teaching, individual seat work, and collaborative learning. And I'll come on to how that varied in a moment, because it did vary among the teachers. They engaged in something which I call active monitoring. When learners are involved in either individual seat work or group work, these teachers didn't just sit and wait at the front, as some of the other teachers that I saw in my research project did. These teachers were constantly moving around the class, circulating between the students for two main reasons: to provide individual support through tutoring. They would give them little bits of help and differentiation, but also to assess how the students are doing, whether they have understood the key points that have been taught, whether they need any more support as well. And then, very important, there were language inclusive translingual practices. And by translingual, everybody in India knows what I mean, but we use a different word in India. We just call it language blending or language mixing, when we use a combination of English and Hindi or English and Telugu in our teaching in order to help learners to understand. Translanguaging, as it's called, is something that Indians have done for far longer than this term existed. And an alternative term, which refers to roughly the same thing, but there's a different ideological basis, is code switching or code mixing. The teachers also had lots of really interesting personal attributes. And again, the vast majority were consistent with the international research. There was a passion for their profession, a passion for being a teacher, not always for being an English teacher, but the passion was very much for the job of teacher. Some of them did have strong passion for English, but it varied. There was an enjoyment of their work, a care for their learners. And this is something that I think we all know and understand. Great teachers are great teachers primarily because they care for their learners. Sometimes we even use the word love. They love their learners, and there is this notion of positive, always a positive attitude towards the learners. They were self-confident in their teaching. They believed in who they were, in their own identity, and they were autonomous in the sense that they could operate individually if they needed to. And importantly, something that isn't so common in the international research, but we all know that most Indian teachers also need to be resilient. because of the challenges of context, sometimes the unpredictability. Somebody hasn't arrived at school, so you have to teach an extra lesson. There may be some kind of problem in the classroom, so you have to respond to that quickly. For example, a lack of electricity or internet connection, as some of us are having today. These are the problems that Indian teachers know how to deal with on a daily basis and can solve. And that did come through in some of the international research, but not as strongly. And then the final point is the area of professionalism, which I want to refer to in a moment, because I will come back to that once I've looked at some of the differences. The international research on teacher expertise doesn't actually look at differences between expert teachers so much. And I was interested to do this. So I looked at differences which I noticed were mainly in the classroom. There were much fewer differences when it came to aspects of cognition or beliefs. But in the classroom, we found that the participant teachers' practices varied, and they varied, I've put clinally here, so on a scale. It wasn't a kind of a dichotomy between two different ways of doing something. But the two key factors were the conception of subject, in other words, how they understood and interpreted what English is. And by that, I mean, in Indian classrooms, it's very common for teachers to do two things: to see English as a school subject, which we need to teach because the learners need to pass English in order to continue their education. And that is a valid and an important reason for teaching a modern foreign language around the world today. It always has been. That's why I studied French in school. That's why I can't speak French very well today. But because we can get through the exams, or we can get our learners through the exams, then it becomes part of their achievement in education. But there is also another conception of subject. We can see it as a language. So the two conceptions of subject are seeing English as a school subject and seeing it as a language for communication. And we all see both of these things. We understand that English isn't simply something we teach at school, but the extent to which somebody teaches English more as a communicative system, as often happens in many of the methodologies promoted in communicative language teaching, or we teach it as a school subject, does vary between teachers. And it's important to note and to recognize that that balance will always depend on the context of the teacher and the challenges they face in that context. And then the other way in which the practice is varied related to degree of control of the behavior of the learners, the extent to which they control their behavior, the extent to which the teacher themselves decided on the scheme of work, how the curriculum will be implemented, or whether they negotiated this with the learners, which was also common for several of the teachers, and also the discourse. So whether the teacher controls the discourse, or whether learners are likely to initiate conversations, ask more questions, and there being more playful, natural interaction of the type that we see in the home environment, for example. And when I used these ideas, I compared them to some of the ideas of Basil Bernstein, an English sociologist who has written a lot about aspects like these through his concepts of classification and framing, if you're interested. But it wasn't exactly the same what I was seeing in the classrooms. So that was the main way in which, if you like, the teachers' practices differed as expert Indian teachers. But the other way in which they differed as well was their use of learners' other languages. And I noticed some of the questions in the chat there, how to overcome the mother tongue effect in learning English pronunciation. Well, I think the mother tongue effect is a wonderful thing. I think it enables us to make English an Indian language. And it's really important to recognize the mother tongue is part of our resources, a beautiful part which we can use not just to learn English, but to make English our language. Indian accents are beautiful, important accents in English, and I prefer to listen to them much more than I do to listen to British English accents. But it's a really important point, but the participants varied very much in terms of how much English they would use in the classroom. Those participants, for example, who were teaching English more as a language tended to use only a small amount of mother tongue. And by mother tongue, in fact, we have to be specific here. It wasn't the mother tongue of all the learners, it was the other language of the school. So, for example, in several of the schools in Maharashtra, it tended to be standard Marathi, which is the other subject on the curriculum. And in the schools in Telangana, it tended to be Telugu, even though the learners spoke other languages as well. And other teachers spoke much more of the mother tongue or of the other language in the classroom, up to 85% in fact in some lessons, but all of the teachers were inclusive of their learners' other languages. In this sense, and in the teachers who even used it the least, if a learner had difficulty asking a question in English, the teacher didn't just wait for them to ask, but they prompted them to say it in the mother tongue. So Hindi mein bolta hai. So tell me in Hindi, that kind of thing. Let me know in Telugu. How do you say that in Bangla? And this was very common as well. And there's a paper I've published that looks at these languaging practices carefully. So as we can see, and this quote from Berliner I think is important, expert Indian teachers, like all human beings, are not alike. And I'm going to, in a moment, introduce the breakout rooms. But before I do, I want to highlight the last point of similarity among the 8 teachers. And you can see this picture here of Deepika in her staff room with her colleagues there. How expert Indian teachers develop. This picture I included because we all know that good teachers develop collaboratively. They develop with each other. They all have a dedication to their work and they work hard. They're continuously striving to improve. This idea of lifelong learning applies to expert teachers. They have an interest in continuing professional development, CPD, and higher qualifications. So all of them, for example, had MAs as well as other qualifications. And they collaborate frequently and widely with colleagues, both in their school and through wider networks, such as Indian teacher associations, such as LTI and INET, which we all know and love, and also, of course, through British Council. They help each other as mentors, as teacher educators, and as the leaders of local communities of practice, COP there. And they challenge themselves. Expert teachers tend to try to experiment more, to try out new ideas, to take risks in the classroom. Reflection is there. Not all of the teachers reflected what I would call critically, but all of them were able to reflect extensively on their teaching. And they seek feedback from others. Every opportunity they have, they try to get feedback from us. And all of this expertise, all of this professionalism is underpinned by the teacher's care for their learners. And this sentence may not be so clear, I'm looking at it now. What I mean by this is that the teachers saw their learners as their primary evaluators. In other words, the opinion who the teachers perceived to be the most important one was the children. Not necessarily the head teacher, of course that's important, not necessarily colleagues, and not even the parents, but their primary evaluators were the children, their learners. Those were the people for whom all of these great teachers got up in the morning to do their job. So, having introduced all of these aspects of teacher professionalism, of expert teacher professionalism, I thought it'd be interesting to get the teachers themselves to talk a little bit about how they did this, because it's not easy when you are an Indian teacher, when you're busy, when you've got lots of things to do, and when the professional opportunities are not so many. Sometimes they are few and far between, we say. So what we're going to do now is we're going to break into the 4 different breakout rooms that Dipali mentioned earlier. And I'd like you to have a think now, which of the following rooms you would like to join. Those of you who have pre-selected when you signed up for the webinar, you maybe chose one of the rooms, you will be put into that room. And then the remainder of you will either be automatically assigned. We'll see how the technology works. This is a nice experiment in seeing how Zoom chat rooms work when you've got 86 participants. It's like an Indian classroom, isn't it? And you will either be assigned or you will choose to join one of the 4 breakout rooms. So Manjusha and Vinay, if he's joined us, I'm not sure if Vinay has joined us, I'm just checking through the participants, but they will be looking at doing and mentoring teacher action research. In breakout room 1. In breakout room 2, we have Deepika and Nurjahan, who will be talking about getting involved in teacher associations. Oh yes, Vinay is here, great, nice to see you, Vinay. Breakout room 3, working as a district and state level teacher trainer. And that will be, Gajanan will be leading on that. And I'm not sure if Shekhar has been able to join us. If not, I will join in that room as well and chat as well with Gajanan. And then in breakout room 4, Koheli and Raju will talk about participating in overseas scholarship opportunities. So if you can, Dipali, are we ready to do the breakout rooms? I think I'm run over by about 5 minutes, but not too much.
Yes, we're ready to go into breakout rooms. I've enabled selection so the participants can select the breakout room that they'd like to join. I just also want to say that there will be one British Council colleague in each breakout room. So if you have questions about any activities or resources that we offer as the British Council, please do ask the please do ask the British Council colleagues for their input and support. So I'm now going to open the breakout rooms. Like Jason said, we'll keep them open for 20 minutes. At the end of 20 minutes, you'll get a 1 minute kind of warning that will bring you then back into the main session. So hope you enjoy your time in breakout rooms, and I hope everything works smoothly.
Fingers crossed. Great. So Dipali, I've got the invitation to join my breakout room. So if you've got an invitation on your screen, press the join button and you should then automatically go to your breakout room, and we will see you all in about 20 minutes. Thank you again, Dipali.
Most welcome.
Good afternoon, all of you, and this is Vinay Raju. I'm a school assistant English and working in secondary school in the Telangana state government. So today my topic is about a classroom-based action research. How this generally we heard the word research, but the teacher research is something different. So the teacher research is the one thing that the teacher will carry out his own research to find out the solution to his classroom-based problems. When we heard about the academic research, where the scholars will do a research on particular issue and the problem. So classroom research is not like a academic research, it is very simple, so that the teacher finds a solution to his own problems. So this classroom-based action research involves, there are 4 stages, like a planning. So you are planning to change something in your classroom. Let us take example. Your students are not able to read well. They are struggling to read and they are struggling to identify the words. So this is the thing that you are facing. So now you are planning to change that situation. You make your students to become fluent readers. So then to bring that change, you need to act something. You have to implement something new that you haven't tried in your classroom. So that stage we call it as an act. So after implementing that, and you need to observe and you have to evaluate with evidence. So as a result of something new that you have tried in the classroom, so what you did learn, what you learned from them, and there must be an evidence of something that happened because of the new thing that you have tried in the classroom. So then based on this observation, you will start reflecting on that. So these are the 4 steps of the action research. And then another way of doing action research is an exploration also. So exploring means something you want to find out whether it is true or not. So need for an evidence which will help to understand and solve the problem and the puzzle better. Need to understand, clarify, probe and view alternatives before plunging into an action. Need for a baseline. So now let us take a first example, that is struggling readers.
It's not audible, sir.
Yes, Raju, unfortunately, we can't hear you anymore.
So what do the other colleagues think about the same issue? So what do the other schools are also facing the similar problem? So this stage we call it as an exploring and finding out about that particular problem, and that stage we call it as an exploration. After exploration, then only we need to take an action. So now exploration includes plan to explore. So we need to plan. Then we have to explore and we have to evaluate. So how we can plan to explore means you will develop a questionnaire for your colleague or to your students or the teachers who are working in some other schools. So this is how you will get the data from them. So after collecting that data, and you will explore with evidence. So the similar problem if they are facing, what are the reasons? So what is the context of your school and what is the context of their school? What do your students think about the similar problem? So these are, you need to explore, then you have to evaluate. After that, you need to enter into an action. So this we call it as an exploratory action research. So that's the difference between action research and exploratory action research. In the action research, there is a exploration stage is missing. In the exploratory research, before going into an action, you need to explore. You need to find out the reality of the problem with evidences. So here, plan to explore, explore and evaluate, then plan, act, observe and reflect. So in the exploratory stage, we have an extra step of exploration. So this is the table again, shows the same. Plan to explore, explore, analyze, change and all other things. So what to research? Something that worked in your classroom and that you don't like and you want to explore further. Success. Suppose you tried something new and you think that it is very successful. Then you have to show the evidence to the others that this is successful. So you take up a research on that. And something that did not work and you would like to improve. It's a problem. Something that you are facing regularly, just like a struggling readers. So then you want to explore on that. Otherwise, something that you are not sure about that. So you want to implement the technology in the classroom. You don't know. You are not sure about whether you can able to incorporate the technology into the classroom. So let us take up as a research also. So these are the different sources available to take up the classroom-based action research. This is a champion teacher stories of exploratory action research published by the British Council. You will Google it. You will get the PDF of this book. And this is another teacher's research book by the Richard Smith. This is also free PDF. You will get it in the Google. Just you Google it. So this is a book of change developed by the project English language teacher development projects. So teachers' voices. So these are the different action research books that are already published on that. Thank you. Over to you, Manjusha.
Yes. Am I audible? Hello?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
Manjusha.
Hello, everyone. This is Manjusha Sagroikar from Sarju Devi Bhikulal Bharuka Arya Kanya Vidyalaya, Hingoli, Maharashtra. I have been teaching English to secondary and higher secondary students since 30 years. So today I would like to share my experience regarding enhancement mentoring project for action research in Maharashtra. So first, wait, I would like to share my screen. Can I share my screen?
Yes, Manjusha, please share your screen.
Yes. Yes. Can you see these my slides, sir?
Yes.
Okay.
But put it in the presentation.
For Action Research Project Maharashtra, that is EMAR Maharashtra. After attending teacher research mentoring sessions with Dr. Richard Smith sir and his team, I formed WhatsApp group for those who are interested in classroom-based research and mentoring other teachers. Teachers from primary, secondary, and higher secondary joined in my group, and teachers, they started to express their views and discuss on the group. How do we get motivated to do the action research work? We arrange Zoom meetings, followed the task from TR mentoring sessions in Google Classroom. Teachers shared their success stories, challenges, plans, activities with their partners. There are projects for action research, but not on mentoring. So this is the idea behind this project. We arrange weekly Zoom meetings and share our ideas in Google Classroom. Then we arrange webinar sessions from expertise team and step. We arrange Zoom meetings, followed the task from TR mentoring sections in Google Classroom, and teachers they shared their success stories, challenges, plans, activities with their partners. Each month we organize webinar series by experts step by step to support teacher researchers for action research, such as how to formulate research question, how to collect the various data collection tools, how to present our data, analyze data, and find the conclusions, how to reflect on our work. Teacher, researchers, and mentors motivated and address their challenges and real teaching issues. During this project work, we face some challenges, that is formulating the accurate research question, then deciding the areas, tools, and the types of data collection. And at this stage, we need the mentoring, and the webinar sessions help teachers to solve their problems. We discuss on data analysis, various data analysis methods, and for this, this is also get challenging for the teachers and the teacher mentors. Then effect of demotivational factors while doing action, exploratory action research or action research. That means there are no any motivational things like increment in the salary or promotion, or this project is not the part of any big project. So all these things are demotivated for the teachers, but still they for their professional development they started working on. What we observe, teachers remain open to all sort of responses. Teachers could help the students to be more creative during the period of the exploratory research. That means we find the creativity in their work. Though the problems are the same, solutions differ as per the situations. Exploration is the most apt method to search the solution of the pedagogical problems. These are the links of our sessions and presentations. And at the end of the year, the teacher mentors and teacher researchers got opportunity to present their ideas, share their ideas at different national and international platforms such as Electronic Village, online, IFPL conference. And at the end of the year, we arranged a symposium for the teacher researchers, and there they shared their success stories with other teachers. So this is the nature of EMAR Maharashtra. Another challenge is teacher often believe that the teacher research is not for them. It is for ELT experts for getting promotion or getting increments. This is the biggest challenge in our research, in our working. So need for mentoring. In mentoring, sharing of knowledge, skills, and experience is important. At the first step, teacher researchers need to identify their research skills. Which skills are needed to be developed for classroom research? Another thing is teacher researchers should take the responsibility of their own learning. Mentors help to identify abilities with asking questions, and he tries to motivate for them. The role of the mentor. The mentor should be a good listener. He listens carefully what teacher researchers is saying, what he says about his teaching practices. He tries to elicit while speaking. He should be a good communicator. As a friend, as a colleague, family member, he focuses on identifying issues with asking questions to clarification, ask more for a deeper meaning. Paraphrasing what he listened and motivate for reflecting back, he suggests choices, alternatives for perfect selection. The mentor encourages to focus on main issues and finally guide for action. Thank you very much for giving me opportunity to share my mentoring experiences regarding EMAR Maharashtra.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thanks very much, Vinay and Manjusha. I can see there are a couple of questions in the chat. Would you like to
Yes.
take them up, please?
Yes, yes.
Huh.
I can see there are quite a few
Yes.
questions around speaking. So pronunciation and hesitation, especially for rural students. So if you'd like to share some of your experiences, how teachers can help, although it's not quite directly linked to action research, but if you could share some of your ideas and things
Yes,
you might
yes.
have learned in your research.
I can see one question over here. Can you share any experience that has brought a change in classroom? Yes, one of teacher researchers have completed his action research on developing speaking skill, developing reading skills or vocabulary. And at the end of his project, he observed that there has little change. Their student improve the reading skill, and their vocabulary skill is also increased. Another question. Yes, is there any action research program this year too? Yes, yes. Now still we are working over that. And this year also participants presented their ideas at Electronic Village online action research platform and IFTL conference also. And at the end of the March or at the end of the March and April also, we arrange the symposium for teacher researchers. And in the next academic year also, we are continuing this project. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Manjusha. Vinay, if you would like to come in and discuss any of your experiences relating to the questions we have had, please feel free.
So regarding the change that I observed, so initially before doing this classroom exploratory action research, so I find the problem from the students' point of view. If the students cannot read means they are not making an attempt. But after doing research and after exploring the problem, then I came to realize that there is a need to change my way of looking at the problem. There is a need to change what are the strategies that I have using in the classroom to make them my students to learn reading well. So doing research will help the teachers to become a more critical about the problem. So that will help us to find the different solutions. And if we start implementing those strategies into the classroom, and we could see the better results when compared with the before doing action research. the way we looked at the problem has entirely changed. That is the best outcome of the doing the classroom-based exploratory.
Unfortunately, I'm not able to hear you anymore. There are questions from Sonali and Shivani. So either of you or both of you can actually take them up.
About their challenges more freely, and they can explain their problems neatly, and they have also started working to collect the data, collecting real evidences and planning activities for the change, making change, bringing change in their classroom. And one teacher also have started to help other teachers for doing action research, motivating them to do the action research. So these are the possible changes, and they started sharing their new ideas and finding out the real issues, authentic issues regarding their classroom.
Manjush and Vinay, Sushmita asks if you can provide some examples of how to implement an action research project on reading skills.
Yes.
And if you could also suggest some specific strategies.
Yes.
I didn't get that question. Please repeat that.
So Sushmita asks,
Hello.
can you provide some examples
Yeah.
of how to implement an action research project on reading skills? She's looking for some specific strategies to do so.
So I did the same research on the strategies for the struggling readers. So initially, I have taken a survey questions for the teachers and also the students. But the students cannot express their views in the English. So I asked them to write them in Telugu, in the mother tongue. So then later I translated into English and taken opinion from the student teachers also, my colleagues. So some of them, they expressed that the time is not needs. This is the one challenge that they have expressed. So collecting this data and I implemented
really
in the action phase. I tried one something. Yeah.
Your voice
I tried
is breaking.
something. Oh.
Can you just please repeat about the time?
So some teachers express the opinion not enough to address the individual needs, to address the struggling readers. Then for that, I have developed a strategy that group reading. So there are 30 students in the classroom. So I will ask them to sit together, pair work. So one who can read well, one who cannot read well. So these two students together, they will sit and there are 15 pairs within 45 minutes and all the students will able to read the entire lesson. So the student who can read will assist the student who cannot read. So this is the one strategy that I got because of the action research and collecting the data and all other things. So like that, there are 5 or 6 strategies I have tried during action phase.
one of my teacher researchers have tried to develop the reading skill of secondary students, and she collected some material from outside, from various websites and from books, story books, and poems, rhymes, and she collected those material, and step by step
It's not audible. Can't hear anything.
The time for the breakout room is over. We'll be returning to the main session in a couple of seconds.
I was just trying to tell that in many of our families, we don't speak in English. So if we are there in a forum and if we speak with other teachers sometimes and try to speak.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to this breakout room session. Before we begin, I just wanted to check with Semily. Semily, have you started recording?
I didn't start recording, but it automatically said that recording in
So
session
what
in
I'm going to
progress.
do is I'm going to stop the recording of the main room.
Okay. No, don't stop the recording in the main room. Let me, because it's showing red and it's showing recording already
Okay.
on the screen. On the left-hand side, if you can see.
I hope it records this room as well.
Let me just click on this recording button and see what happens.
Yeah. Sorry for the delay. There's a technical glitch, but we'll begin. But while Semily is checking this out, I welcome Noorjahan Naik and Deepika Gode ma'am to this breakout room session, and they are going to tell us more about their experiences with teacher associations. Specifically, Deepika ma'am is going to talk about English Forum, and Noorjahan ma'am is going to talk about other teacher associations that she was part of. So if Semily, if I can get a go ahead from you.
Yes, it says it's recording. I can see it on the screen on the left-hand side.
Okay, all right. So we'll just to lay out the overview for this breakout room session. As Deepali ma'am said earlier, we have 20 minutes here. Deepika ma'am goes first, then Noorjahan ma'am, and then we'll hopefully have some time for questions from you all. Okay, over to you, Deepika ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, Nadeem sir, not stopping.
Yeah, can you see my screen now?
Not yet.
No? 1 minute. Now?
yes,
Hello?
yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
You can see the screen now, no? Okay.
Yes.
So good evening, friends. Today here I am to share my experience on participating in Teachers Association and how this helps us improve our CPD. Okay. So this was done with Noorjahan, and Noorjahan is also going to speak on it. So I'm going to keep it to the local level. So how did we do this? Since 2018, we were taking part in many of the trainings by British Council or Maharashtra government. Then this idea came to us that we should have an association of ourselves of English teachers of English, and then we started our WhatsApp group by the name of English Forum. So English Forum Nagpur. Here it is written, it is established in 2020, but it was started in 2018, and in 2020, we registered it as an NGO. So this was the idea given by the members of our group. And they said that as we work together and as it helps in enhancing the CPD of all the members there, why don't we make it an NGO and help in other areas also? So we registered it as an NGO in 2020, and now Nagpur Forum, English Forum, works as an NGO. You can see the pic there. It was inaugurated by our Honorable Amol Padwar sir. And that was the logo which was inaugurated that day. Next, the members comprise of English teachers from high school, middle school, and primary school. And we have 5 clusters in which the teachers are distributed, and there is a rule there that everyone has to interact in English. It helps them to be confident in the use of English. So we have got 5 clusters of WhatsApp group: English Forum 1, English Forum 2, English Forum 3, then English Forum Rural, and English Forum Primary. Then most of the teachers have been trainees in Ellipse, Ellis, Chess, and Tejas. Ellipse and Ellis and Tejas have been undertaken by British Council, and these were the trainings which British Council did with the teachers of Maharashtra. And from these trainings itself, we got many of our ideas how to make an association and how to run these associations. Next, why did we do this? The purpose of these groups is to help teachers enhance their CPD. So now I am talking how this association is going to help enhance your CPD. See, today I am here speaking about this association. Just like me, all the members there, most of the members are very confident about speaking what they learned from this association. Teachers with enhanced CPD here are able to impart better English teaching to students. Whatever we learn in these groups and whatever we discuss in these groups is then taken back into our classrooms. For example, if we have gone through a training or if we have attended a webinar which is directly connected to teaching learning process in our schools, then we discuss it in the forum. And from there, the teachers there can take those ideas into their classroom. How do they do this? Students who learn English in interactive and collaborative way have better communicative skills, increase their chances of succeeding in competitive exam, and job increases. How? See, interactive learning is there and collaborative learning. As you all have heard Jason talking about the skills which we have and how we teach in our class, when we are in a group, we discuss all these things, that how to be interactive with your learner, how to take collaborative learning, how to be constructive in your work. And this helps the students as well as the teachers. If the students gain confidence in their learning, naturally, they are able to face the exams nicely, and the prospects of their selecting a faculty and taking job increases. And you might be a bit surprised to see the next point that leads to raise standard of English teaching in Central India. As Maharashtra is there in Central India, and we as a forum have at least 750 members in 5 forums. I know that all of them are not active, but at least 200 to 300 teachers are active, and this leads to a good quality of English education in our area. Next, how do we do this? Many activities, competitions.
Deepika ma'am, we've lost your sound. Is it a connection issue maybe?
Hello?
Yes, you're back.
Yeah, I'm back. But I can't see my PPT here now.
Yeah, it's gone off. Do you want to try resharing?
Yeah, I'll do it again.
Okay, no worries.
Now is it visible?
Yes.
Thank you. Sorry for the inconvenience.
No problem.
Member teachers discuss the problems related to teaching and learning. So those who have got experience in solving such problems and have faced such problems, they advise them, they guide them, And sometimes we come like tag meetings in Tejas. Those who all know about Tejas, they know that tag meetings are there. So we also arrange some meetings monthly, and there the teachers come and they discuss about their problems and we give out the solutions. Those teachers who have the solutions, many of them ask us to invite them, we invite them, and then we have this session there. Activities like poster competitions, essay competitions, and short videos on speeches are taken by us, and then we try to motivate teachers in our group by giving them trophies and certificates. So such activities are organized by our groups. Sometimes we organize workshop and ask the members on which topic they want the workshop. For example, they wanted a workshop on writing skills, so we had it for them. Discussion on various topics is encouraged to build up the confidence of the teachers. Current topics are also discussed on the group, and we do the discussion so that the teacher can express his or her views in English, and he gets confidence in doing that, because many of them say that we cannot do it nicely in writing also or while speaking also. So when they come out of their shell, they are confident in discussing, writing and talking in.
We lost the slides again. Deepika ma'am, can you hear us?
I think she got disconnected.
Okay. Let's wait for a couple of like a minute. Let's see if she comes back. But meanwhile, I also wanted to say to everyone that if you could prepare your questions for both Deepika ma'am and Nurjahan ma'am so that we can quickly address them at the end. I think she's back into the call. Deepika ma'am, can you hear us? I can see you. You've come back to the call. Okay, a few more seconds will wait. But meanwhile, I would request Nurjahan ma'am to be ready with her presentation so that we can cover.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, she's back. She's in and out. But be ready with it so that we can cover yours and then maybe we can come back to her presentation. She's back. She's back. Are you able to hear us, Deepika ma'am? We can't hear you. Can you hear us? We can hear you. Yes. I think you can't hear us, Deepika ma'am. Can I let Nurjahan start with the presentation maybe while we wait to sort your issues out? I think there is an issue.
Hello?
Yes. Can you hear us?
Hello?
Yes. Can you hear us?
Hello?
Yes, Deepika ma'am. Can you hear us?
I think lots of time is being wasted. So should we start with Nurjahan now?
Yes, I was just wondering. And meanwhile, you be ready with your remaining slides. We'll come back to yours.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you so much. Nurjahan ma'am. Apologies to everyone in the breakout room. We all know these technical glitches keep happening, but we will come back to you, Deepika ma'am, for more. Meanwhile, let's begin with Nurjahan ma'am's presentation.
Yes.
On teacher associations. Have you started sharing screen?
Yes, ma'am. Yes. I've started.
But at least I can't see anything on the screen.
Yeah, I've started. A couple of minutes.
Okay, it'll maybe upload. Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
Hello, everyone. This is Noorjahan Naik Khwaja, and today I'm going to talk about participating in teacher associations. So what is a teacher association? Teacher association is a group of people or teachers who have some common interests and who come together to develop themselves. So let's have a look at some teacher associations that I worked with. So these are some of the associations that I worked with. First of all, there is INET, that is All India Network of English Teachers. Then we have British Council. INET is working at national and international level. British Council, we all know about it. Then we have IMELTA. IMELTA is entire Maharashtra English Language Teachers Association. This is our association which is running in Maharashtra at state level. Then there are ITFL and RELO India. ITFL is the International Teacher Association, and RELO India is the regional association for Indian teachers. So I have been benefited a lot from this association. Let's see how I have been benefited from these associations. So what I have gained from these associations. First of all, these associations have given me unlimited and continuous support for my CPD, for my professional development. I have been blessed with a lot of information and teaching ideas and resources, and the support is continuous and it is still going on. Because of these associations, I have got an opportunity to share and present my best practices at various conferences. Up to now, I have presented my papers at state level, national level, and international level conferences. Recently, I bagged an award from at INET conference also. Then I have learned how to write a research paper from these associations. Then I have worked in an action research project. I would like to mention about the British Council action research project, that is ARMS. So I have learned minute details of how to do an action research, how to conduct a research into a classroom, and that has been really helpful for me. I have been able to tackle the classroom issues that arise in the classroom. These associations have allowed me to connect with the larger teaching community at local level, at national level, and at international level also. And because of that, I have been able to learn from various other teacher friends. Because of this, I have learned various new trends in education. These things are about technology. Then there are teaching ideas. There are various teacher resources. From such people, I have learned from one such at one such time, I learned how to write a blog. I became a blogger. Then I got to know about various websites, various teaching apps, and various things regarding technology I have learned. And these teaching ideas I have learned, and I have tried to adapt in my classes as per my classroom conditions. While I have interacted with so many teachers, and I still interact with other teachers, it has helped me to look critically at my own classroom practices, and it has helped me to become a reflective teacher. I have been able to think deeply about my teaching practices, whether they are suitable for my learners or not, whether I'm going in the right way or not. I have been able to think critically in the classroom as well, to make suitable changes while the class is going on. And I have become able to plan my lessons as per the learner's needs. Because of these associations, I have become able to get access to various online courses. Because of RELO India, I was recently sponsored for a summer course that was teaching grammar communicatively. Also, I was sponsored an online course by British Council as well. That was a couple of years ago, Becoming a Better Teacher. These are two prominent courses that I have done. And because of these courses, my perspectives regarding teaching are really developed. I have been able to modify my teaching practices and include various new things and include various ideas into my classes. It has become possible for me to share my good practices also. It has given me a chance to discuss about the challenges we come across in the classroom, and then it has been possible to find solutions to them, some common solutions. It has given me a new way of thinking about my classroom practices. There are various new ideas that I have learned from these from various people that I came into contact while I joined these associations. And because of these innovative things, whatever I have learned from these people, or whatever ideas or whatever resources I have got from these associations, I have been able to include them or incorporate them into my classes. And the biggest benefit I have got is that it has improved the studies of my learners. My learners have been enjoying various things that I have been trying in my classroom, whether they are language games or new types of activities. They are liking English as a language, and it has allowed me to keep the learning in my classes going on. These are the various benefits I have gained from these associations. I cannot just only name one association, but all these associations have been helpful for me for this. My professional development has been continuous because of that. And also, I have been able to attend various webinars. Here are some certificates. First one is from the INET, where I bagged the award for remarkable presentation this year. Next one is a badge from American English Educators. They have webinars. I keep attending their webinars and I get new ideas from them. Next one is from ARMS Research Mela, where we are, where in the background you see the posters where we have portrayed our research journey. Then, along with benefits, there are some challenges as well. Let's see what challenges I have faced. First of all is a time constraint. Being a part of any teacher association or contributing to it or attending any event needs a lot of time. So being a teacher nowadays, it's not easy to have time for each and everything. We will see how did I tackle this problem. Then another big thing is, whatever associations I have talked about, they are all based on state level, national level, and international level. But when we think about a local level association, then establishing an association is an easy job, but sustaining it is a Herculean task. We get a low level of response. Most of the times, the participants are really passive. So how to keep them active, or how to continue the group, how to continue the association is a big challenge. Let's see how did I find solutions to them, or how did I tackle the problem. Whoever are ready to be a part of any teacher association, or whoever are trying to join it, we always can motivate them. Motivation is the timely key. We have to keep motivating the new members. Then one thing that we all have tried, as I said, sustaining any teacher association is a Herculean task. We tried to establish a local level teacher group at our district. In the beginning, all were really enthusiastic, all were sharing their ideas. So, but as the
Nurjahan, I'm very sorry to interrupt. We just have 5 minutes left in the breakout room. So
okay, I'll sum up.
Yeah, and then we can give a minute to Deepika ma'am to summarize.
Sure, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. What we did, considering the low level of response, we started a WhatsApp group. So because of the COVID situation, we can choose between online and offline mode. We cannot run after each and every association. So we can choose, we can be really selective. What is of our benefit or what suits our interest, we can attend that event, or we can choose that material, and we can definitely find an online mode whenever we can, so we can learn from these associations at our own pace and from our own home. So we can so even though we don't have much time, we can learn in an online mode as well. And if sustainability is an issue, we can definitely go for an online mode where people don't have to travel or don't have to be physically present, but we can still have their contribution. So this was my view about teacher associations. If you have any comments, please drop them in the chat box or mail me at noorjahan.naik@gmail.com. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Deepika, do you want to take a minute to summarize what you were saying without slides? Just sum up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just wanted to tell the participants here that it is very easy to be a member of an association. And when you are a member of an association, you benefit a lot. I agree with Noor Jahan that sustainability, passive members are there, but try being a member and you will see that how it benefits others. And if you can make your own association, that is also very good, and you will enhance your own CPD. I would like to say that, and thank you all for bearing with me.
Thank you
Bye.
so much. That was short and sweet. We have time, just enough time for one question from Nadeem in the chat. Anyone can take, any one of you can take it, or both of you can try to answer it. What do you feel is the most important part for running a local teacher association? I think it's a brilliant question.
Yeah. Noor, please answer.
Yeah. Hello, Nadeem sir. Good question. I don't think we can talk about only one element, but I think there are several elements. Running a local association is a big task. So putting together all the people, even though they have very passive response, is a big thing. So for now, I will say that we can put them together in an online mode, and we have to think about the resources that they need for their own development and for the learners' behavior. So for me, it's providing or arranging materials or resources that the teachers need, whether in online mode or offline mode, is the thing I think, in my view, is necessary. We cannot go in one way only, because we have, in my experience, we get very low response when we call teachers together. So we can take help of online mode for that.
Thank you. Deepika ma'am,
yeah, I would like to add here that nowadays I see that teachers are, I would like to say that bored of you going online mode and they want to come offline. So I think it is better to call them offline, even though if they are small in number, we should take their views in consideration, bring them together in a meeting and then discuss things. I know that Nadeem sir is an expert in this, but well, in our forum also there are teachers who contact us personally also sometimes, and we are planning many things are planned in the pipeline for the next academic year. For example, many of the teachers have asked us for notes which are going to help them in their teaching learning process. So we are nowadays preparing notes for them. So this is the way to bring them together, listen to what they want and provide them with it. I hope sir is satisfied.
Yes, I think he says thanks for responding for both of you. Thank you very much. I think we are still maybe a few seconds away. I don't see any other question in the chat, at least for you. But I had a quick question for you both. Do you think, I think more for Deepika ma'am, but also for Noor Jahan ma'am, do you think, through this meeting and discussing and sharing and leading their own development, teachers have also started looking at how students learn a bit differently? Do you think that has an impact?
Yeah, it has a great impact. See, whatever activities we share there or we learn while we are in training, if they are taken back to the classroom, there is a lots of difference between the teacher who has come from the training and the teacher who has not attended the training. Because I see this in my school on daily basis, that I attend many trainings and there are some of my colleagues who do not attend training, so they don't know how to plan activities or how to be interactive in class or how to teach collaboratively. So I think that yes, it is helpful to be in an association and take help of others and then enhance your teaching skills. Hello?
Yes, and I have.
Yes, thank you. Noor Jahan ma'am, yes.
Yes, I have also seen various teachers who have learned various new things, even through trainings or through associations, and they try those things in the classroom and then they present or they report to others. So in our WhatsApp groups, or sometimes they tell us personally, and it's really good to know that they are benefiting from that.
Over to you, Gujan sir.
Thank you, Jason, for this introduction, nice introduction for me. And thank you, Priya ma'am, also, and other delegates. Okay. Justin, shall I start with the sharing those slides?
Yes, Gajan, you take it from here.
Okay.
You do it however
Oh.
you want to, and then we can deal with the questions afterwards. Thank you.
Okay. Yes. So actually, I can't see the viewers here, audience here.
Can you see to share your slides, Gajan, and I can share them if
I
you
can
need.
share them if you need. I have backup.
Okay. Or may I go to directly go?
We will get there.
Okay. I'm just getting those slides only, Jason. I'm going to share. I'm going to share those slides. I'm sharing the slide. Just a few seconds only.
It's okay. How's it going, Gajan? And have you succeeded?
Is it visible? Yes.
Oh yeah. Shall I share your slides here, Gajan?
Okay.
Let me share for you, and then it makes it nice and easy. And then you just tell me when to switch to the next slide, okay?
Yeah. Yes.
Great. There we go. Okay, over to you, Gajan.
Thank you. Yeah. This is that's working as a teacher trainer. Actually, I'm very thankful all of you who are just at this screen. I'm very thankful all of you, because this event, I think, is also a learning part for me. It's also a learning event for me. I'm still a learner, so I'm just learning from you at the same time also. So just what means as a teacher trainer, the term is teacher trainer, educator, or sometimes we use the trainer or educator also. So, and I must be also very thankful to the all teacher community who helped me to develop my potentials, to develop myself only. So what I have experienced and how I could develop. So I will share my story with you. I will just share the story within 5 to 7 minutes, and then we will have a. When you have any questions, you may ask me questions. So please, for 5 to 7 minutes, I will talk with you. Jason, can we see the next slide, please? Okay. So, dear friends, this is as you can see in the photograph. There's the IFLU, English Language and Foreign University, Hyderabad. So I'm also thankful to that university. Basically, I started my career as a secondary teacher, and still I'm a teacher also. I started teacher, but I got the opportunity to share my ideas, to share my share certain things with the participants. So elementary teachers, I started my as a teacher. I was working as a teacher, secondary teacher. Then whenever I had an opportunity to work as a teacher trainer to the primary teachers also. And then we had opportunity to work with the IFLU, English Foreign Languages University, Hyderabad. And that university has set up the center that is called District Center for English. And it was based at DIET, District Institute of Education and Training in Buldana. I'm from Maharashtra at Buldana. So in Maharashtra, there were 6 district centers opened in 2005. 6 centers were set up. and I was working as a tutor there. And the main objective of that center was to support the secondary teachers to increase their competency and professional development. Our district was our district. It was as a whole unit. Means it is my, again I can say it was my privilege to work among this community, teachers community. All teachers, maybe primary teachers or secondary teachers, or at some extent higher secondary teachers also. I could help them, I could support them to increase their competency in English language and professionalism. So that was the main objective of that center. And while working with the teachers, I was supposed to pay some school visits, and the main purpose of that school visit was it was just mentoring. For example, it was just mentoring. Yes, I used to go to the school, and then I would observe the lesson of the teachers across the district, and it was not inspection. It was not inspections. It was just developmental observation. So our main objective, our main aim was just to go and support the teacher. So we would go. I used to visit the school, the teacher, observe the lesson, and then we had a separate meeting at some places, and then we would identify some area. For example, the teacher would say, "Sir, we want to know about more grammar." So that area was coming from the teacher, and in such a way, all identified areas were collected, and then we would design a program, maybe 2 days or 3 days program. That was a need based program. That workshops were held for the teachers. For that need based course, it had no specific syllabus. It had no. We were autonomous, and the autonomy was based on the teacher's requirement, what the teacher they need. And then we had another program that was contact cum correspondence course. Actually, that course, it was a 1-year course, and it was run by the Hyderabad University, the IFLU University, and so number of 145 teachers. I am very proud to say that those teachers who were very who were motivated, who had a strong desire to go forward, those teachers were enrolled for this 1-year program, and 142 teachers from Bildana, they succeeded in this program, and motivating the teachers community. So the main objective of the center was also motivate the teachers for the learning. So the teachers were motivated, and after that, some of teachers, they went for the US program, that is teaching excellence achievement program in US. So some teachers, they also attended, they went for that program also. Participating at international conferences also means I could participate. The first international conference was held in Hyderabad, starting and community starting. Okay, and the main thing which I picked from that first international conference was CPD. Dr. Amal Phad, what I again remember here, CPD means continuous professional development. We can't stop our learning at the end of our life also. So that the life is also learning. That message I got from that conference, and again I had opportunities to attend, participate such type of conferences, and that conference also helped me my CPD journey. Jason, can we just go to the next slide? Yeah. So while working with the diet, RMSA, RMSA, that was the program also, again SSA also. Under that, MOT program was also run. Means it was management of training. It was organized by the Yashoda. Yashoda is Apex Institute in Maharashtra state, and that institute is generally means specifically it trains the administrators. So Yashoda has organized one program, and that program was strengthening the state level institutes. educational state level institutes. SIM Aurangabad means state level. State level. We have a state level institute at Aurangabad. So we had opportunity to look into that matter, to see certain ideas, and how can we develop that, how can we strengthen, how can we empower that state level institute so that we can reach at a larger scale. So that was also again privilege for me. Yashoda also, we love to work with Yashoda. We had another program, that is TOT also, teacher training programs also. And so here is a picture. I had no means, I was not interested in individual photographs also. So I thought that I had this group photo. I just share. I thank you for those. Without permissions, I have shared their photography also. Jason, could we go the next slide, please? So while then we shifted to the ELIS program. British Council and RMSA, they had jointly organized this program, and this is a very milestone. This is a milestone in my journey. ELIS program was organized by RMSA and British Council. Here, mentoring, we had 80 teachers mentoring pilot project. And particularly, I again remember my mentor also, the Priya ma'am, Priya Iyer ma'am, and Rajeshri ma'am. These two personalities, I can't forget when, at least the name is there. Okay, workshops are here. Then ELIPS was also primary. ELIPS was the program for the primary teachers, and then we had workshops for the continuous comprehensive evaluations also. From that mentoring program, I just adopted a reflective practitioner. Means now the questions came. Whenever we go, we find that there is a duplications. For B.Ed, we go for the training program for B.Ed in pre-training program. Then we in service also, after service also. There is again one question: is there any methodology? Is there any perfect method in the world? Is there any perfect method in the world? The answer is no. There is no perfect method. So the perfect method, where is the answer? How can we find the perfect method? So, a reflective term that I love, I believe in reflection. Once a person starts reflecting, he himself is capable to find a way, to find a method. So which method is best? If the student is able to understand, if we are able to reach up to that students, if we can understand that student as a whole, so that is the best method, I believe. And through reflective practice, I can think, I believe that reflective practice can make man perfect, and he can continue. Then presenting at when working with this project, mentoring project, I could participate in a state level symposium. I also remember that poster presentation. Rajeshri ma'am had shared one link, and I could also post. I could also present poster presentations. And the main tip there was that offline, from offline to online education. So means offline is not only enough now, and so that was a theme in that. It's only means there should be blended learning for the students also, and for we teachers also. At that presentation also, 26 students from my school, though our context is very rural. In 2016 also, they participated in that program, and they had a experience of online classes, online what we call now online. Then sustainable effort for CPD. Yes, for CPD, I still feel that okay, my journey is not finished. I have to learn. I have to learn a lot of things. For example, during pandemic situations also, like you, all teachers, they also learned a lot of things. They updated they reflected, they updated their resources, maybe technological resources, maybe reading books, attending many seminars online, So CPD is also continuous. For me, I took 1 lakh rupees loan also, and I went for the another online program from Manipal University. I'm still pursuing that program. So I'm still learner. Please, Jason, could we go for the next slide, please?
Really interesting, Gajana. You've got about 5 minutes left for the presentation in total before we go back to the main room. So if you do this slide quickly, there'll be a chance to address some of the questions. This is Gajanan's last slide, I think, isn't it? Oh, no, 2 more.
Yeah. Then ETF and chase. After this, then we had a chase program, INET also. And I was very lucky that INET has provided me an opportunity and through which I could also connected. I got connected with Jason sir. So as a ETF members, I held some workshops for the teachers for their development. And here INET International Conference was held in 2020. There I could also submit my my paper, and that the paper was just action research. For example, it was by lower students who had a very lower literacy. Even though they were in 9th standard, they were not able to read. They had a lower literacy. But after some time, they could after this research, they could. I used that using phonics techniques. Using phonic techniques, that was my topic for in that presentations. I had a that's a paper presented in that conference. That was my professional development also, and the students also, they enjoyed that action research. And teachers, effective teachers community also, I'm very thankful to INET because I could also I could also publish a book that is called co-author. So this is also okay. Next slide, please, Jason sir. Okay. So my appeal to all teachers: we should create resources. Reflective practice. I believe in reflective practice. We should adapt reflective practice, and we should have a forward-looking vision. And we also still we can also keep our CPD going on and on. So that is appeal to others. And the last slide, I think, is only for thank you all of you. The last slide is thank you all of you. The word is, and there are only 2 words, but they are not enough. And what are the things that you want to ask us? Is there any questions from you? So I'm waiting for your questions
before we move to the main session. So any questions are welcome. Any questions that you have for Gajanan, for Jason, or for me? Just a couple of minutes before we move to the next. You're also allowed to put in your questions in the chat if you want to ask it in the main session so that it remains in the chat and we can address them at the end. But if you have anything for now, please feel free to ask us. We have a raised hand, do we? You can unmute and ask.
We also have some questions in the chat as well, Priya, if you want to look at those.
Hello.
So we have a question around observations. I think it's, yeah, how did classroom observations and reflection help you to develop your skills? So do you want to take that, Gajanan sir?
Could you repeat that question, please?
Sure. So how did classroom observations and reflection skills help you to develop your skills? How did your classroom observations help? You mentioned that you did some classroom observations.
Yes. While I was observing, my teachers, the teachers' lesson, I could reflect at the same time. I could reflect myself that is that suitable to my classrooms? Is it workable in my own context? Because my context, I had a similar context. I had a similar context, and how can I make my classroom better? So it was, the reflection was going when I was observing the lesson, and when I work as a teacher, at the same time also I was just reflecting, analyzing, can I use that teacher's activity in my classrooms also? So means I'm not just giving advice to the teacher, I was learning from this teacher community. That's why I say I'm also means a learner. And yeah,
Very valid point.
So,
Thanks, Gajanan
yeah.
sir. Very valid point. You also learn when you observe, don't you?
I just to add to that, I'm exactly the same. I literally steal ideas from almost everyone I observe. Thank you, Gajan.
Thank you. Thank you.
We have some more questions. I'll see if I can get it.
There's one interesting one actually from Monica. Gajana, Monica asks, how can we present a paper in the INET conference?
This is good questions, Monica. Thank you. Monica, if your paper is ready, for example, if your paper is ready, you can also contact with INET. INET team, Nadim is there. Or you can also you can also visit the websites of INET, and notifications are there, and you can, it's very simple, and you will get the notifications about how to present the papers and when to present the papers. But it's a very great question that you are very interested to publish your paper.
I will share the INET Facebook page, which is really useful. The INET website seems to be temperamental at the moment, but I've just shared, hopefully in the chat, the INET Facebook page, where I think they usually advertise about the conferences. And as Gajanan said, you submit a paper for presentation, and then we all get together somewhere in India and chat and discuss about teaching for 2 days.
There's another interesting question from Sridevi. She says, what is the right time to shift from a teacher to a teacher trainer? And how do you know that? That's a lovely question. So Gajanan sir, any thoughts on that?
Yeah.
From you?
How to be a teacher trainer? There is no exact deadline for to be a teacher. That is unexpected. But whenever there is an opportunity, I would say you should grab that opportunity. So it doesn't matter 20/4/7, anytime you can grab that opportunity. So for example, when the same questions arise in my mind, I started my career and just after 1 month, after 1 month, I had called to work as a resource person. I thought that it is a research person. So I would I was not confident about to go for the teacher trainer, but when you throw me in the classrooms now, if you throw me in the classrooms, I don't have any problem. The teacher, they are very supportive. Thank you.
We have some more questions. I don't think we have time to take all of them right now, but maybe we can look at a couple of them. Could you help me understand? So, yeah, there's one more question around. Could you help me understand how to turn experience into expertise? What are the list of elements? I think Jason covered that in his session earlier, and for the benefit of everyone, we will be uploading the recording of this session onto YouTube, so you can probably go and have a look there. And Jason, quickly a recap on some of the elements maybe.
Yeah, I think they're going to close the breakout rooms in a moment, but it's a really good question. It is complex, but the one thing that I would emphasize is the thing that Gajanan has proven is very, very important for him. And that is Gajanan refuses to stop learning. In other words, you know, there are some teachers who do 1 year's experience and then they do the same year's experience again because they repeat it without learning. And this is what Penier has said is the difference between somebody who has 1 year's experience repeated 10 times, or somebody like Gajanan, who for every year of his career, the experience is different because he challenges himself. And this for me is a critical factor, also noted by Amy Choi in her book on teacher expertise, in the difference between expert teachers and what she calls experienced non-experts.
Thanks for that, Jason. As you can all see on your screen, the breakout rooms will close in about 10 seconds. We'll get back to the main session. Please do not leave the webinar. Please join us in the main session. Thank you very much, Gajanan sir, for sharing your ideas.
Sorry, Deepika ma'am couldn't finish her sentence. Maybe you can take a couple of seconds while we wait for everyone.
It's okay.
Okay.
I was just trying to tell that in many of our families, we don't speak in English. So if we are there in a forum and if we speak with other teachers sometimes and try to speak in English and try to motivate them that, yes, you can also do this, you can also speak like us, then they are boosted, you know, and then they start copying us.
Yeah.
And in this way, they can enhance their CPD. And many of them have done so. I wanted to tell them.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Okay, so thank you very much for that. I'm sure you enjoyed the time in the breakout rooms. We'll come to question and answers in a bit. But first, as the British Council, we wanted to share some resources that we have that are related to the areas that were discussed in the breakout rooms. So I'm going to share my screen and I trust you can click on the links. I believe in Zoom that is possible. So you should be able to click on the links directly. So just to go over the different areas, in the case of mentoring and supporting teachers in their action research projects, there's a very useful handbook that was published by us and written by Dr. Richard Smith, whom you all will know, as being very prolific in this area of mentoring teachers in action research. So please do download that. All these resources are completely free, always will be. So please, always will be as not my place to say, but as far as we've been around, they are free. But please click on these links and download these resources. So there is a handbook available for you if you're mentoring teachers to conduct action research. If you are participating in teacher associations, we have a report on teacher activity groups, which are localized communities of practice. And this is a study of teacher activity groups or tags that were conducted in 6 countries as part of British Council projects. And one of those countries is, of course, India. So you'll be able to read about how teachers, how teachers felt about them, what they learned, and the different kind of resources that were provided, and what makes them work. With respect to being a teacher trainer at the district or state level, please subscribe to our Teacher Connect newsletter. This is a monthly newsletter which covers and includes and provides you with resources, events, lesson plans, which are focused on both teacher education and teacher training as well as teaching. Because at least in India, many teachers are both teacher educators and teachers. They play a dual role. So please do subscribe to our Teacher Connect newsletter. We also have information on webinars like this that are coming up, as well as webinars organized by the global team. And finally, if you'd like to participate in or be a recipient of a scholarship, please do follow the scholarships page. Unfortunately, the scholarship that we have, we had promoted for English teachers in India is now closed. It closed on the 1st of May. So unfortunately, that is not available, but all these other resources definitely are. Can I please ask my colleagues in the chat? Yes, I think they have already posted. Thank you very much to my colleagues who have posted this information. Thank you very much, Sujata, for posting all these resources. I think some of the links are not live in the chat. So if you could please repost them, that would be great. Can I confirm from someone if you can click on the links directly on your screen? Is that possible? No, okay. Okay, so I will put the links in the chat, or one of my colleagues will. Oh, it is possible. Thank you very much. And with that, over to you, Jason, back to you, in fact.
Thank you very much. I'm just going to share the screen to show a couple of resources from me. But just to add to that, Dipali, all of those links I found really useful. And I just mentioned in the chat that Dr. Richard Smith was my supervisor on my PhD. So he's an inspiration to me as well. And there's also lots of publications that Richard has published with the British Council on what we call EAR, exploratory action research. I've been doing reading about different types of action research, but exploratory action research, if you Google that, you will see lots of publications by Richard and Paula. And it's something that Manjusha and Vinay know a lot about, as in fact does Kuheli and lots of other people as well in our group. So yeah, thank you very much. Now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to share my last screen, which we'll see if this one works as well. It's always a learning experience, isn't it? A bit like life. So there we go. There's my last slide, which shows the few references I included. And if you can't access those, I can pop them all in the chat. Quite literally, I'm going to do that in a moment. I'm just going to copy and paste that into the chat and see if it works. And then you'll be able to see them, but I'm just going to go through them one by one. You should see the QR codes, which will work on your screen as long as you get your phone close enough to it. And the first one is to the publication by the amazing 8 teachers on my project called Connecting 8 Effective EOT Classrooms, Context, Challenges and Solutions. And I've put it in the chat there. The second one is a report I published for the University of Warwick, which is kind of a basic overview of my research if you're interested. If you're a researcher, there's not much detail there about the methodology, but you'll find basic information there, which I've just put in the chat about what the key findings were and what I perceive to be the implications. Now, if you really want to read the whole PhD, it's a few hundred pages long. Hopefully you won't get too bored, but I've just published that, put that in the chat as well, where you can see about the methodology. Here is a paper from my references, which, we've got lots of questions. I will come back to the questions. And this paper is open access, but this is published in a journal looking at the multilingual practices of the teachers, which I use the term translanguaging, which is this new way of understanding how we code mix and code switch, but not looking at it negatively, looking at it as a positive social practice. Something that Indians are expert at, I always argue. And then there's a few more links there in the chat. I won't bother putting them in, but just note it down and then you can Google it and you should find a link to that. So I believe now, Dipali, let's just work out how much time we've got left for any questions. Is it 10 minutes we've got left?
That's right. We have 10 minutes for questions. Great. I think there was a question in one of the breakout rooms that was not answered in the breakout room. Is that what?
Yes, in my breakout room there was one, but it's a long way up the chat now. Satinder, I think, mentioned, and sorry, Satinder, we didn't have time to answer it. There were so many interesting questions, and it was something about and the other colleagues can. Yeah, how can I enroll in a one-year course? Please kindly explain requirements. Well, there's different kinds of courses you can do within your professional development, and it will always depend on exactly what you want to do. But just to kind of link that, Satinder, to what we've seen here today, is that the 8 teachers in my project all found that certain aspects of their professional development, it's either A, the opportunity arises, or B, they find it more interesting than other opportunities. Nurjahan and Deepika, I think, mentioned the importance about being selective, being choosy about what you do and don't do in your professional development. For some Indian teachers, that's true. And in other contexts, sometimes there aren't enough opportunities. And this depends on your state very much. Some states get a lot of CPD opportunities and others, unfortunately, don't. So I would say, Satinder, keep an eye out on all of these important links that we've shared. The British Council Facebook page, British Council India Facebook page, which one of our colleagues can share, often mentions both their own opportunities and the ones for teachers. But the other thing I would suggest is teacher associations. So for example, in Telangana, the LTI chapter of Telangana is very active there, and people like Vinay and Raju, they are often involved in teacher training activities through there. Vinay may even be able to post a link to that in the chat. And then also the iNet Teacher Education Network, find their Facebook page. We can even put a link to that as well. And you'll find that iNet often have lots of opportunities for teacher all across India. They very much are interested in developing and helping all teachers to develop. That's great. Cool. Shall we have a look at other questions there? Was there any question that caught your eye, Deepali?
There is a hand raised, not questions. I think a lot of people are also sharing links to, I believe, their own Facebook groups. I just want to alert everyone not to put in their own email addresses or any personal contact information in the chat. Links to Facebook groups are fine. There's a question here. Someone has their hand up. Pundalik sir, can you please unmute yourself and ask your question? And then
yes, ma'am. Okay. My question is this, ma'am. So basically, I was a teacher educator and worked like Gajanan Tade. And I want to know whether these teacher educators, means retired teacher educators, could render their services for certain training programs.
So sorry, say that again, Aruna Kumari. You were in Gajana's chat room with me. Yeah. What was the question again?
My question is this.
If you don't mind, Jason, can I answer that? The question was about rendering services. So there are plenty of opportunities, not just, of course, with the British Council, but other organizations that are regularly advertised on various forums. I think joining a Facebook group is one of the best places to start, because that's where a lot of, through the network, you get to know a lot of opportunities. I think also following colleagues on LinkedIn, because certainly we post a lot of our opportunities on LinkedIn. We find a lot of our, a lot of consultants are able to access the opportunities through that resource. So I think it's about, finding those avenues to connect and plugging in there. So Jason, I believe it was more a question about offering services, as a teacher trainer. If you'd like to add anything to that.
No, that's great. Yeah, Vinay may also have some insights about that. Vinay knows a lot of these networks. If he can unmute himself, if he's present, he may have suggestions for Aruna Kumari.
Good evening, Jason sir, and good evening, all of them here. My question is, I think, hello.
Together
Can I speak?
Yeah, please do, Aruna Kumari.
Yeah, the question is, our school consists of 60 teachers, and we are, you can say, an urban school itself. But then recently we could feel there's a what you can say, a level down towards the kind of communication that is happening. So the principal wanted me, because I had been a delegate and I had been a teacher trainer to the district level and certain other activities, and British Council I had been attending as a delegate. So therefore she asked me to find out if there is any possibility that British Council can give us some kind of a training to all our teachers, like a week course or something. Is it possible with offline or only online? How much? I think even we can be paying some amounts also if necessary. If you can upgrade all our teachers with the kind of pronunciation and the pitch and the sound level and many other things like that, for the kind of what you can say, putting forward the English communication. It could be spoken, it could be written, it could be all kind of 4 skills together. Is there any possibility like a British Council can provide our school? I actually had a live chat twice, but I couldn't come to a confirmation. So how can you help out this? Is there any possibility that British Council can help us?
Well, ma'am, our team, I can answer that, Jason, if you don't mind, because it was, I think it's relevant to the work that we do. Our team doesn't work with individual schools as such. We work with education systems, and we work with governments and non-government organizations. So if there is a group of schools, say, or there's an education system within, within a state or a specific area, we are definitely interested. Maybe you can write to me, ma'am, and I can take it further offline, because maybe that's a discussion for a different forum.
Okay, can you just give me, you can just give a message like how I can write to you. Yes, madam. And
yes, so we have your information through the registration form. I will get in touch with you. I've noted your name. I will get in touch.
And I also thank Jason. I understood that is a different area, like it is like a service and upgradation of the language and all. I really appreciate all your work and everything. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, just to add, there was also another question. I've put a link in the chat to courses from an organization called FutureLearn, who do sometimes work with British Council. They're based in the UK, I think. Tell me if I'm wrong about this, Dipali. I'm not sure if you know them, but FutureLearn do quite a few free courses. Somebody in the chat also asked for for courses about online teaching, and I've put that link into FutureLearn, and they also do some new courses on online teaching as well. I think though we're just about coming to the end of our time, and I know
can I just say, sorry, Jason, I'm so sorry. Can I just say that FutureLearn has changed their policy. So they require you to sign up, and there is some sort of fee structure. I don't know what it is. I cannot quote it, but the British Council courses that we offer are completely free. So please do subscribe to our newsletter, and we promote and we give information about the courses that we run via our Teaching English website, and also other courses through our India team. They are free. But please, FutureLearn, we are not guaranteeing that they are free. Please understand.
Importantly, thank you. Yeah, so I think we now just have a couple of minutes left to share the feedback form, Dipali. Is that right?
That's right. Yes. So my colleagues will ping the link to the feedback form in the chat. Please complete it. And when you complete it, you will receive your certificate in your inbox. Please download the certificate and save it. And then you can edit it. The name and surname field is editable. So you can add your own name and your own surname. Please note that it will not work on a mobile phone. You have to access it on a laptop. The certificate, but you can complete the feedback form. So can I please ask my colleagues to please put the link to the feedback form? There it is. Thank you, Judith. And thank you very much, Jason. Thank you. The section that you took us through in terms of teacher expertise really gave us a lot of food for thought. One of the things that I was thinking about as the British Council, what we can do is really working to mentor teachers and then enabling expertise, teachers who develop their expertise to mentor teachers to develop their expertise. Because I did see one, I don't think it was a question, but it was a comment in the chat about a teacher, I think has completed 2 years and they wanted to know how to develop. And indeed, just in this, virtual room, we have such, so much resource and so much knowledge. So thank you very much, Jason. Thank you to the 8 teachers for giving your time, your expertise, your experience, sharing so freely. Thank you very much to the British Council team for joining and supporting with breakout rooms. I'm sure you also contributed from your own experience, and Judith and Semele for supporting with the ops. So yeah, we look forward to this, more webinars like this. The recording of this session will be available on our YouTube channel sometime over the next week. So thank you very much. Please ensure that you complete the feedback form. We would love to hear from you. And thank you again, Jason.
And thank you, Dipali, for managing it so well. And I just want to say thank you to the 8 teachers as well. Thank you for your time and effort as well. All teachers are busy, and these guys also managed to have time to prepare their presentation. So thank you, everybody.
Can I please request the colleague who started the recording to stop recording?
Ali, actually, I have stopped the recording, but it refuses to go away. I don't know why. I think they just like the session a lot.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining this breakout room. We will be speaking about participating in overseas scholarship opportunities. This is Kuheli Mukherjee from the city of Kolkata, and I have with me Raju Lingala from the city of Hyderabad. We would be speaking about our experience of accessing scholarship opportunities abroad and how that helps us grow professionally. I would request Raju Lingala to start speaking about his experience abroad. Over to you, Raju.
Yeah, thank you, Kuheli ma'am, and thank you for the British Council for this great opportunity. Once again, I welcome you all to these breakout rooms. So I feel it's important and appropriate to mention and thank Jason Anderson for his research project, Effective Teachers of English in India, which helped me to know more about my profession and to explore myself. And it gave me an opportunity to know many things before I could visit foreign countries. And because of that project, I became very conscious of my teaching and my continuing professional development. So as you are seeing the slide, I got selected for 2 fellowships. One is Fulbright Teaching Excellence Award. Another one is Extensive Reading Foundation Scholarship. I got selected to participate in Fulbright Teaching Excellence and Achievement Program in 2020. But due to the pandemic, I participated from 25th January 2022 to 11th March 2022. It's a 6-week academic cultural exchange program sponsored by Bureau of Educational and Cultural Affairs, US Department of State. And this particular program helps us to develop expertise in our subject areas, enhance our teaching skills, and increase our knowledge about the United States. By participating in this, so I learned many things like time management, and interacting with the other participants and observing the classrooms and sharing about Indian culture in the classrooms in the university. So when we apply for this Fulbright Teaching Excellent Achievement Award, we will be placed in a university for 6 weeks, and we will be given training there, and we will be placed in a school, and we visit the school and we teach there. So those who are interested to participate in Fulbright scholarships, there are number of scholarships like Fulbright Nehru Fellowships, Fulbright Kalam Climate Fellowships, and Robert H. Humphrey Fellowship Programs, and Fulbright Foreign Language Assistance Teaching Program, and Fulbright Scholar in Residence Program, Fulbright Distinguished Awards in Teaching Program for Indian teachers. So those who are interested to participate this type of programs, could you please, you can visit www.usief.org.in, and that will helps you to know more about this Fulbright scholarships. And the second scholarship I got is Extensive Reading Foundation Scholarship. So this Extensive Reading Foundation is a not a profit organization which promotes and supports extensive reading around the world, and it gives annual language learner literature awards for the best new graded readers. So every year they will select some books and they will give award to them, and this particular foundation conducts World Congress on Extensive Reading every 2 years. So I attended 5th World Congress on Extensive Reading at Pengchia University, Taichung, Taiwan in August 2019. I learned more about extensive reading, and I was the judge for Language Learner Literature Awards for a year. I read many books and I wrote my feedback to the books, and they given awards to that particular books. So those who are interested to apply for this Extensive Reading Foundation program, and they supposed to conduct 6th World Congress on Extensive Reading in Indonesia. Due to the pandemic in 2021 and 2022, they are doing it virtual mode, but in 2023 they are planning to conduct in Indonesia. So there are 6 scholarships available for all the teachers from all the countries, and even RELO also sponsoring some other participants. When I applied for this, only 17 teachers applied for this particular scholarship, and 6 teachers got this scholarship, including me. So those who are interested, please, you can visit www.erfoundation.org. You will know more about their programs and more about extensive reading and extensive listening. So I will share more about my personal benefits at the end of this session. So thank you, Tuyelima. Over to you.
Thank you, Raju, for your lively account of your experience overseas and how it helped you grow professionally. Let me talk about my experience of accessing scholarship overseas. The first overseas scholarship opportunity that I had was participating in the program East India Bangladesh EFL Institute. In fact, it is a scholarship offered by US Department of States, and it enabled me to stay 6 weeks in the US, and I was attending classes in a US university, and I also took some classes in our US middle school. And I must say that my experience in both the school and the university changed me entirely as a teacher. Before I went to the US, I didn't know much about teaching English as a language. I was teaching English to my learners just as I learned English in my school time. But when I went to US, I observed how classes were taken, giving autonomy to children, how the classes were activity based, and how the children were given the utmost importance. So I realized what it means to have learner-centered classroom. So that made me start thinking. Another point that interested me was whenever my US teachers introduced any new ideas or activities in the classroom, they would always ask us to think about how to adapt that activity, how to modify that concept in order to make it useful for my own classroom context. So I started thinking about what I do as a teacher. And that made me realize there is something that I should know more about to make my teaching more effective for my learners in classroom. So I came back to India. I continued my work as a teacher trainer, but along with that, I started reading about teaching of English as a language. And I was motivated to apply for the scholarship that you can see on the screen, the scholarship A.S. Hornby Educational Trust Scholarship. This scholarship enabled me to pursue 1-year master's in TESOL in the University of Leeds in UK. And I must say that my experience of doing this master's from UK changed me entirely, not only as a teacher, but also as an ELT professional. In fact, I must say that I grew aware of my identity as a professional. And I learned so many things about teaching of English as a language. Along with that, the most important for me was learning to exploit reflection in my classroom. So as I came back, I would start exploiting reflection in order to bring change to my own practice and also to involve my students in critical thinking in classroom. That was a great learning to grow professionally indeed. And I must say that as we had to attend courses on research methodology in UK University, that also helped me pursue further research in India as I came back. So I must say that accessing these scholarship opportunities overseas really transformed me as a professional. Before I speak about exactly how it benefited me and my institute, let me show you a slide on the website that you may access for learning more about the Hornby Trust Scholarship, the long-term scholarship that provides you the opportunity to do a master's from Warwick University right now. This, if you apply for this Hornby scholarship now, you have to go to Warwick University. And along with this, British Council offers other scholarship opportunities for teachers of English in India. You can go to British Council website and check it for such opportunities, which are announced from time to time by British Council authorities. Right now, there is one such opportunity. I would advise you to go and check the British Council website, especially the page on Study in the UK, to know more about these scholarships. Chevening Scholarship is another scholarship offered by British Council. This is an annual scholarship that you can apply for doing a master's in any UK university. I would like to mention here two more scholarships which are of a different type, but they also offer you the opportunity to go overseas and learn from your experience there. These are scholarships given by IATEFL and TESOL International Association. You may be aware that these two are the largest English language teaching professionals organization. They have their annual conference every year, and they offer a number of scholarship opportunities for teachers of English. And teachers teaching English at any level of our academic system may apply for these scholarships and take the opportunity to go there, join their conference, attend the sessions, as well as present their paper. So I would say it is very, very important for English teachers to apply for this kind of scholarships for overseas opportunities. Finally, I would mention again the scholarships from US Department of States. Raju has already pointed out the Fulbright scholarships, and along with that, Department of States at times offer other types of scholarship opportunities, and you have to keep and watch on the relevant pages, relevant websites for this kind of opportunities. Finally, I would mention the scholarship, American English e-scholarship. This is a unique opportunity, though it does not enable you to go to US in person, but it provides you the opportunity to pursue a module from a US university at the university level, and you can collaborate, you can work with your colleagues from across the globe. So I have included this scholarship opportunity here for this aspect, that which gives us a very enriching experience as we work with colleagues from across the globe. Now, coming to the benefits of the scholarship, I should mention that it not only benefited me as an individual teacher. If you go and access this scholarship, it also benefits your institutions. When you come back, you can contribute to the academic innovation of your institute. You can organize workshops for your colleagues. You can mentor your colleagues. And doing this, you can develop a culture of collegial collaboration in your institute. And as Dipali pointed out earlier, that this kind of culture helps us grow professionally together with our colleagues. And finally, you can also lead collaborative projects at the international level on behalf of your school. And this benefits your learners, your institutes, as well as you. For some more benefits which help us grow professionally, I would request Raju to talk about the personal benefits now. Over to you, Raju.
Yeah. Once again, thank you, Kuyeli Ma'am. As Ma'am mentioned, institutional benefits, and I have got some personal benefits, and which you can also benefited by participating these programs. So I learned many things, but I would like to mention very few things. And consciously, subconsciously, these all scholarships definitely changes our personal life and professional life. The first one, learning to teach more effectively. So when I participated in these particular programs, so I learned to teach more effectively. As we all know, in India, our education system is examination oriented, and we are giving more importance to reading and writing. But after attending these fellowships, so I changed my style of teaching, giving importance to all the skills, and I could able to integrate technology in the classroom. And when the time of pandemic, I used to blended learning. And at present, our institutions are changed into EMI. So I am using bilingual method. So it changed me to teach effectively. And number two, developing pedagogical content knowledge. When I understand this, it became easy for me to execute my lessons, created effective teaching and learning environment for the students. So this, whatever the knowledge I have, the subject, the pedagogy helped me as a vehicle to pass on it to my students. And then learning about the impact of my teaching. So as I mentioned before, after this, the Jason Anderson's project, I became very conscious of my teaching. So I became like result-oriented teaching. So I always had a purpose-driven teaching. Before I was not like that. So as Henry B. Adams said, a teacher affects eternity. He can never tell where his influence stops. So now all the time I'll be thinking, so whatever I am going to do, it's going to impact my students. So I had that consciousness in my mind. Then growing confidence and developing identify of a language teaching professional. As Kuyeli Ma'am said, I taught English as a subject, and even students used to get good marks in their exams. And for 12 years, I got 100% results in my school. But they unable to speak, they unable to respond properly. So after attending these conferences, so I started giving more importance to listening and speaking, and teaching English as a language, not as a subject. And it improved my confidence when I went to Taiwan and USA. So when I was interacted with native speakers, it gave me a lot of confidence, and nobody asked me to repeat the sentence which I spoke. So they understood my English, and it gave me a lot of confidence. And when I presented and shared about Indian culture at the school level, at the university level in the USA, they understood it, understood the challenges, the similarities between India and USA. So becoming a global citizen and developing international network framework. So by visiting other countries, by reading books, by having network, we will have the perspective, global perspective. So we know what's happening around the world. So the network we had, when I had Jason Anderson's project, I had a close connection with 8 effective teachers. And when I attended Taiwan World Congress, I had good network with the participants. And recently, I visited USA, and I had good network with all the 19 teachers. It's like collaborative work, and we will know more about one another, what are the challenges we have, and we will have the opportunity to make our students to interact with their students, like using Zoom and using our technology. So by visiting other countries, by participating in scholarships, we not only know about other countries, but surprisingly, but also we know about our country. When I visited Taiwan, when I visited USA, they asked me about my country. So then I started thinking about my country, and I understood. I thought that I know many things about my country, but really I may not know all the things which are in my country. So the respect, the love on my country, it's grown more. So when I visited other country, I started respecting my country more. So we can say that sometimes in school we can say East or West India is the best. So when we visit other countries, we know more about our country, and it helps us for our personal growth and our professional growth. So once again, thank you all the participants for listening to Kuyeli Imam and listening to me. And it's time for questions. And if you have any questions related to participating in overseas scholarship opportunities, you can post questions, and Kuyeli Imam or I are allowed to answer it. So over to participants and Sujata Mom for question session.
Yes, thank you for that. There are a few questions in the chat. I'll first quickly ask you some of those questions. We also have someone who's waiting to ask. Just have 3 minutes, but I will quickly share those questions. One was from Anjita S, who's asking whether there are any minimum years of service required to apply for these scholarships. Either of you can answer. Minimum number of service years.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, it depends on the scholarship. For example, for the Fulbright scholarship, it requires 5 years of service. And for other scholarships, it depends on that. For Extensive Reading Foundation, there is no requirement of our service. So for Fulbright, 5 years of service is required.
And for a Hornby Trust scholarship, you need to have at least 3 years experience of full-time teaching in a school or any institute. And I must mention, as I said earlier, that it can be an experience of teaching in the university level, as well as it can be experience of teaching at the school level. But you must have some experience, and you have to prove your sincerity in sharing your knowledge with your colleagues. That is what they look for, that you need to ensure that you will be giving back to your own country what you learn from there. Thank you.
Another question is, are these scholarships exclusively for government school teachers?
Raju?
Yeah, I am not sure, but as far as my knowledge is concerned, it's for government school teachers, but some scholarships for even for private teachers, I think so. So I would like to ask really Mom to add on it.
Yeah, so far as I know, the Fulbright scholarships, it can be applied for by teachers from any kind of institute. It can be private institute, it can be government institute. And for Hornby scholarship, it is also the same. It depends on your experience of teaching.
Yes.
It does not matter whether you teach in government school or in another, any other kind of school or university or whatever. And the point is that for other kind of scholarship, like the one that is being advertised right now on the British Council website, they are asking for government school teachers. So it depends on the type of scholarship that you are applying for. You have to go online and check the relevant page for their eligibility criteria. It may differ.
Okay, I'll hand it over to a gentleman here who has a question. So please go ahead. You want to ask your question now?
Hello.
Yes, please. Go ahead.
Okay. At first, I beg your apologies that I joined this meeting late and wanted to participate in it. I have been teaching in West Bengal's government school for the last 16 years, and I have a English medium. I do not have English medium background, and my students are not from Bengali English medium as well. So I try to learn speaking English and also try to improve my English every day, make a better version of myself. I just want to know what kind of scholarship may I apply to, as a teacher of government school. I am 40 years old and have been teaching students for last 16 years. So what are the opportunities for teachers like me, because there are constraints or problems like leaves, because teaching and going through professional courses are quite difficult. So can I apply for online courses?
Of course you can, because since I came back from UK in 2010 or 2009, I have been doing the online courses by dint of e-scholarships that I received from American consulate. So you can obviously consult those pages. You can go to the website of RELO India or Regional English Language Office Delhi. They offer the e-scholarships time and again. And also you can apply for scholarships from IIT-EFL or TESOL International Associations that I talked about, because for those scholarships, you need only 3, 4 or 5 days leave. I think you can take your own leave for that. But going there and having the experience is wonderful, and it changes you as a teacher, I must say.
Yeah, I would like to add something, and let us not worry about our medium of instruction. Even I studied in Telugu medium. I am teaching to Telugu students, and age is no more. We are lifelong learners. So let us not worry about the medium of instruction, and let us not worry about the age.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I'll have to stop the session here because we are going to go back into the breakout rooms. Thank you all. Thank you very much. Thank you, Kuheli ma'am and Raju.
Sorry, Deepika ma'am couldn't finish her sentence. Maybe you can take a couple of seconds while we wait for everyone.
It's okay.
Okay.
I was just trying to tell that in many of our families, we don't speak in English. So if we are there in a forum and if we speak with other teachers sometimes and try to speak in English and try to motivate them that, yes, you can also do this, you can also speak like us, then they are boosted, you know, and then they start copying us. And in this way, they can enhance their CPD. And many of them have done so.
I wanted to
Thank
tell
you
them.
so much. Thank you so much.
Okay, so thank you very much for that. I'm sure you enjoyed the time in the breakout rooms. We'll come to question and answers in a bit. But first, as the British Council, we wanted to share some resources that we have that are related to the areas that were discussed in the breakout rooms. So I'm going to share my screen, and I trust you can click on the links. I believe in Zoom that is possible. So you should be able to click on the links directly. Just to go over the different areas, in the case of mentoring and supporting teachers in their action research projects, there's a very useful handbook that was published by us and written by Dr. Richard Smith, whom you all will know, as being very prolific in this area of mentoring teachers in action research. So please do download that. So there is a handbook available for you if you're mentoring teachers to conduct action research. If you are participating in teacher associations, we have a report on teacher activity groups, which are localized communities of practice. And this is a study of teacher activity groups or tags that were conducted in 6 countries as part of British Council projects. And one of those countries is, of course, India. So you'll be able to read about how teachers, how teachers felt about them, what they learned, and the different kind of resources that were provided, and what makes them work. With respect to being a teacher trainer at the district or state level, please subscribe to our Teacher Connect newsletter. This is a monthly newsletter which covers and includes and provides you with resources, events, lesson plans, which are focused on both teacher education and teacher training as well as teaching. Because at least in India, many teachers are both teacher educators and teachers. They play a dual role. So please do subscribe to our Teacher Connect newsletter. We also have information on webinars like this that are coming up, as well as webinars organized by the global team. And finally, if you'd like to participate in or be a recipient of a scholarship, please do follow the scholarships page. Unfortunately, the scholarship that we have, we had promoted for English teachers in India is now closed. It closed on the 1st of May. So unfortunately, that is not available, but all these other resources definitely are. Can I please ask my colleagues in the chat? Yes, I think they have already posted. Thank you very much to my colleagues who have posted this information. Thank you very much, Sujata, for posting all these resources. I think some of the links are not live in the chat. So if you could please repost them, that would be great. Can I confirm from someone if you can click on the links directly on your screen? Is that possible? No, okay. Okay, so I will put the links in the chat, or one of my colleagues will. Oh, it is possible. Thank you very much. And with that, over to you, Jason, back to you, in fact.
Thank you very much. I'm just going to share the screen to show a couple of resources from me. But just to add to that, Dipali, all of those links I found really useful. And I just mentioned in the chat that Dr. Richard Smith was my supervisor on my PhD. So he's an inspiration to me as well. And there's also lots of publications that Richard has published with the British Council on what we call EAR, exploratory action research. I've been doing reading about different types of action research, but exploratory action research, if you Google that, you will see lots of publications by Richard and Paula, and it's something that Manjusha and Vinay know a lot about, as in fact does Kuheli and lots of other people as well in our group. So yeah, thank you very much. Now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to share my last screen, which we'll see if this one works as well. It's always a learning experience, isn't it? bit like life. So there we go. There's my last slide, which shows the few references I included. And if you can't access those, I can pop them all in the chat. Quite literally, I'm going to do that in a moment. I'm just going to copy and paste that into the chat and see if it works. And then you'll be able to see them, but I'm just going to go through them one by one. You should see the QR codes, which will work on your screen as long as you get your phone close enough to it. And the first one is to the publication by the amazing 8 teachers on my project called Connecting 8 Effective EOT Classrooms, Context, Challenges and Solutions. And I've put it in the chat there. The second one is a report I published for the University of Warwick, which is kind of a basic overview of my research if you're interested. If you're a researcher, there's not much detail there about the methodology, but you'll find basic information there, which I've just put in the chat about what the key findings were and what I perceive to be the implications. Now, if you really want to read the whole PhD, it's a few hundred pages long. Hopefully you won't get too bored, but I've just published that, put that in the chat as well, where you can see about the methodology. Here is a paper from my references, which, we've got lots of questions. I will come back to the questions. And this paper is open access, but this is published in a journal looking at the multilingual practices of the teachers, which I use the term translanguaging, which is this new way of understanding how we code mix and code switch, but not looking at it negatively, looking at it as a positive social practice. Something that Indians are expert at, I always argue. And then there's a few more links there in the chat. I won't bother putting them in, but just note it down and then you can Google it and you should find a link to that. So I believe now, Dipali, let's just work out how much time we've got left for any questions. Is it 10 minutes we've got left?
That's right. We have 10 minutes for questions. Great. I think there was a question in one of the breakout rooms that was not answered in the breakout room. Is that what?
Yes, in my breakout room there was one, but it's a long way up the chat now. Satinder, I think, mentioned, and sorry, Satinder, we didn't have time to answer it. There were so many interesting questions, and it was something about, and the other colleagues can, yeah, how can I enroll in a one-year course? Please kindly explain requirements. Well, there's different kinds of courses you can do within your professional development, and it will always depend on exactly what you want to do. But just to kind of link that, Satinder, to what we've seen here today, is that the 8 teachers in my project all found that certain aspects of their professional development, it's either A, the opportunity arises, or B, they find it more interesting than other opportunities. Nurjahan and Deepika, I think, mentioned the importance about being selective, being choosy about what you do and don't do in your professional development. For some Indian teachers, that's true. And in other contexts, sometimes there aren't enough opportunities. And this depends on your state very much. Some states get a lot of CPD opportunities and others, unfortunately, don't. So I would say, Satinder, keep an eye out on all of these important links that we've shared. The British Council Facebook page, British Council India Facebook page, which one of our colleagues can share, often mentions both their own opportunities and the ones for teachers. But the other thing I would suggest is teacher associations. So for example, in Telangana, the LTI chapter of Telangana is very active there, and people like Vinay and Raju, they are often involved in teacher training activities through there. Vinay may even be able to post a link to that in the chat. And then also the iNet Teacher Education Network, find their Facebook page. We can even put a link to that as well. And you'll find that iNet often have lots of opportunities for teacher all across India. They very much are interested in developing and helping all teachers to develop. That's great. Cool. Shall we have a look at other questions there? Was there any question that caught your eye, Dipali?
There is a hand raised, not questions. I think a lot of people are also sharing links to, I believe, their own Facebook groups. I just want to alert everyone not to put in their own email addresses or any personal contact information in the chat. Links to Facebook groups are fine. There's a question here. Someone has their hand up. Pundalik sir, can you please unmute yourself and ask your question? And then
yes, ma'am. Okay. My question is this, ma'am. So basically, I was a teacher educator and worked like Gajanan Tade. And I want to know whether these teacher educators, means retired teacher educators, could render their services for certain training programs.
So sorry, say that again, Aruna Kumari. You were in Gajana's chat room with me. Yeah. What was the question again?
My question is this.
If you don't mind, Jason, can I answer that? The question was about rendering services. So there are plenty of opportunities, not just, of course, with the British Council, but other organizations that are regularly advertised on various forums. I think joining a Facebook group is one of the best places to start, because that's where a lot of, through the network, you get to know a lot of opportunities. I think also following colleagues on LinkedIn, because certainly we post a lot of our opportunities on LinkedIn. We find a lot of our, a lot of consultants are able to access the opportunities through that resource. So I think it's about, finding those avenues to connect and plugging in there. So Jason, I believe it was more a question about offering services, as a teacher trainer. If you'd like to add anything to that.
No, that's great. Yeah. Vinay may also have some insights about that. Vinay knows a lot of these networks. If he can unmute himself, if he's present, he may have suggestions for Aruna Kumari.
Good evening, Jason sir, and good evening all of them here. My question is, hello?
Together
can I speak?
Yeah, please do, Aruna Kumari.
Yeah, the question is, our school consists of 60 teachers, and we are, you can say, an urban school itself, but then recently we could feel there's a, what you can say, a level down towards the kind of communication that is happening. So the principal wanted me, because I had been a delegate and I had been a teacher trainer to the district level and certain other activities, and British Council I had been attending as a delegate. So therefore she asked me to find out if there is any possibility that British Council can give us some kind of a training to all our teachers, like a week course or something. Is it possible with offline or only online? How much? I think even we can be paying some amounts also if necessary, and if you can upgrade all our teachers with the kind of pronunciation and the pitch and the sound level and many other things like that, for the kind of what you can say, putting forward the English communication. It could be spoken, it could be written, it could be all kind of 4 skills together. Is there any possibility like a British Council can provide our school? I actually had a live chat twice, but I couldn't come to a confirmation. So how can you help out this? Is there any possibility that British Council can help us?
Well, ma'am, our team, I can answer that, Jason, if you don't mind, because it was, I think it's relevant to the work that we do. Our team doesn't work with individual schools as such. We work with education systems, and we work with governments and non-government organizations. So if there is a group of schools, say, or there's an education system within, within a state or a specific area, we are definitely interested. Maybe you can write to me, ma'am, and I can take it further offline, because maybe that's a discussion for a different forum.
Okay, can you just you can just give a message like how I can write to you. Yes, madam. And
yes, so we have your information through the registration form. I will get in touch with you. I've noted your name. I will get in touch.
And I also thank Jason. I understood that is a different area, like it is like a service and upgradation of the language and all. I really appreciate all your work and everything. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, just to add, there was also another question, I've put a link in the chat to courses from an organization called FutureLearn, who do sometimes work with British Council. They're based in the UK, I think. Tell me if I'm wrong about this, Dipali. I'm not sure if you know them. But FutureLearn do quite a few free courses. Somebody in the chat also asked for free, for courses about online teaching, and I've put that link into FutureLearn, and they also do some new courses on online teaching as well. I think though we're just about coming to the end of our time, and I know the British Council.
Sorry, Jason,
yeah.
I'm so sorry. Can I just say that FutureLearn has changed their policy, so they require you to sign up. And there is some sort of fee structure. I don't know what it is. I cannot quote it, but the British Council courses that we offer are completely free. So please do subscribe to our newsletter, and we will give, we promote and we give information about the courses that we run via our Teaching English website, and also other courses through our India team. They are free, but please, FutureLearn, we are not guaranteeing that they are free. Please understand.
Importantly, thank you. Yeah, so I think we now just have a couple of minutes left to share the feedback form, Dipali. Is that right?
That's right. Yes. So my colleagues will ping the link to the feedback form in the chat. Please complete it, and when you complete it, you will receive your certificate in your inbox. Please download the certificate and save it, and then you can edit it. The name and surname field is editable, so you can add your own name and your own surname. Please note that it will not work on a mobile phone. You have to access it on a laptop, the certificate, but you can complete the feedback form. So can I please ask my colleagues to please put the link to the feedback form? There it is. Thank you, Judith. And thank you very much, Jason. Thank you. The section that you took us through in terms of teacher expertise really gave us a lot of food for thought. One of the things that I was thinking about as the British Council, what we can do is really working to mentor teachers, and then enabling teachers who develop their expertise to mentor teachers to develop their expertise. Because I did see one, I don't think it was a question, but it was a comment in the chat about a teacher I think has completed 2 years and they wanted to know how to develop. And indeed, just in this virtual room, we have such so much resource and so much knowledge. So thank you very much, Jason. Thank you to the 8 teachers for giving your time, your expertise, your experience, sharing so freely. Thank you very much to the British Council team for joining and supporting with breakout rooms. I'm sure you also contributed from your own experience, and Judith and Semele for supporting with the ops. So yeah, we look forward to this, more webinars like this. The recording of this session will be available on our YouTube channel sometime over the next week. So thank you very much. Please ensure that you complete the feedback form. We would love to hear from you. And thank you again, Jason.
And thank you, Dipali, for managing it so well. And I just want to say thank you to the 8 teachers as well. Thank you for your time and effort as well. All teachers are busy, and these guys also managed to have time to prepare their presentation. So thank you, everybody.